the machine. Angry kid, bad at every level, calling out the kings and the fish and lady devils. Paradise is burning down, words of paradise, burning down the town. He talks, he fights, he stays up through the night. Paradise is burning down, words of paradise, he wears a digital crown.
Welcome back to the Lunch Hour. How are all you vital idols doing? It's gonna be a good day. It's gonna be a good day. You saw the title card. We got students out there. I didn't specify in the title. UK students rejecting leftist ideology. People are saying, oh, we're in Gamergate 3. Mixtape caused Gamergate. No, we're the fuck not. No, we're not. We got all that. We got plenty more. It's going to be a wild, dope-ass show. But first things first, I got to address some shit. I got to address the pre-stream legends. Cryptic Manga, first of all, glad to see that you're still alive. Haven't seen you and your modernity fading a bit, so nice to see you back. But then, not only become a member, he drops a two-banger, but it brings out the fucking Frieza in me. Like, oh, thank you for your pitiful donation, but I don't concern myself with the opinions of a monkey saying, like, Buggy sucks. Attack on Titan is anime of the decade. Bro, bringing up the straight-up Frieza in me, dog. You can't make this shit up.
That's stupid. You're stupid. Stop being stupid.
You'll love to see it. That being said, I do appreciate the donation. Shout out. We got a dope ass show. It's the lunch hour. You guys will be getting your protein. You know, your boy get that green tea. Absolutely no sugar. Great for the gut biome. Who we got here? Anthony Ways in the house. Matt Stamper's here. IB to EB says hashtag bird on head. I love it. Dylan B is here. What is up, Dylan B? How you doing? Jeremy Hughes reviews. Clip 420. St. Hugo, the IR Alex Wester. JP, no profile pic. You'd love to see it. Cryptic Manga. Again, glad you're doing all right, my man. Jack SG22 is up in this bitch. Sleeping Nova is here. Hypnotic. As a minority, it disgusts me. You go live exactly on time. It's almost like when I don't have other minorities dragging me down. As a white person, I can do my job all proper like. Here's the dealio. You as a minority, you're a specific type of minority. Being a dirty spick, you can show up late to work, but it's okay because you'll get the job done properly and you'll get it done expeditiously. So it kind of like offsets itself in a timing sort of way. Sultan of Alfheim is here. Shout out Sultan. How you doing, my man? What a plan. C. Brew, I didn't call you out. Sevi with the head Heavies is here. How you doing? Kage the Cunning Linguist. I do love that name. Lithium over on the Kick side representing Kick. How you doing? The absolute legend. You. Straight Sith Male is here. Drunken Ferret representing Kick as well. Let's see. I think that might be everybody. See, I knew you'd find that funny. Medium Masshole, what is up, media? Zero Prime, there's no Gamergate 2 or 3. Gamergate never ended. It was a small part of that is objectively wrong. Gamergate did in fact end, and gamers lost. The first Gamergate lost. It has not been an ongoing continuous cycle. There was one Gamergate, it ended, we lost. There was a Gamergate 2 Electric Boogaloo. And that one is still ongoing. Largely gamers do seem to possibly be winning, but there is no Gamergate 3. It's just like sequels, right? It's just like sequels. Yeah, the whole franchise is called Star Wars, but there's a New Hope, there's Empire, there's Jedi, and then there's nothing after that. Quirrell, hello, shout out. Xavier is up in this bitch. What is up, my man, with a plan? Alrighty, crew. Let's get into it. Now, before we dive into any of the topics that are in the title card, got a little appetizer. Because I haven't seen this yet. I bookmarked it because I want to go over it on stream. Because I fucking hate this dude. Apparently, the Sphere Hunter had a bit of a crash out being called a Capcom shill. At least that's the way the internet's making it seem like based on all the responses, all the quote tweets. Nobody has done more irreparable damage to Resident Evil besides Capcom themselves than this fucking loser right here. Absolutely abysmal. So I want to know what this is about because whoa, calm down, buddy. Take a chill pill, man. Guy, you got to relax some. Quit acting like a woman. All funny stuff. I'm not a Capcom shill. Says the DEI Troon somehow got the ability to replace the 1996 iconic Resident Evil title announcement and voice acting in the trailer for the re-release. Yeah, that just doesn't happen. So let's see what this fucking blasphemer had to say. Let's make sure volume is actually up. I need to do my job properly. There we go.
Tired of feeling this way about every Capcom release. Like getting the hate.
Get the fuck over it. Get the hate that I get, bitch. You are a multi, like, I don't know, did they have more than 1 million subs? I think Sphere Hunter has more than 1 million subs. Let me take a look. Let's see. The Sphere Hunter. No, okay, sorry. Over 500,000, though. You got over 500,000 subscribers. You're going to have motherfuckers be hating. You're going to have motherfuckers hating. When you get to that level of notoriety, for better or for worse, you're going to have people hate. Even if you weren't a Capcom shill, which you absolutely the fuck are. You are a paid shill, definitionally. Every single modern Resident Evil release you get early. I'm pretty sure you got Silent Hill 2 early as well. You get to get specifically review copies. You say retarded shit like how the remake is better than the original for pretty much every single remake. Yeah, you are definitionally a paid shill. But even if you weren't, get the fuck over it. When you got that level of following, yeah, you're gonna have haters.
That I get being called a paid shill, being like just having to read the same comments over and over again.
Maybe if the same people leaving those comments over and over again, it's maybe because you give off the vibes of a paid fucking shill.
Microtransactions, I'm not going to buy it. Nobody gives a fuck if you don't buy this game. Nobody gave a fuck if you didn't buy RE4 Remake. Nobody gave a fuck that you didn't buy RE7.
Actually, plenty of people give a fuck. That's why there's an entire movement of people against your side, the shill side, the people that just mindlessly buy up and consume all these dog shit, dog water remakes, reimaginings, these bastions of lack of creativity. Yeah, people do give a fuck. They hate seeing the thing they love bastardized, and they hate seeing fake fans like you. Or actually, I don't even want to say fake fan, because I am under no delusion. I'm under no doubt that the Sphere Hunter actually did used to be a legit, true blue, real Resident Evil fan. However, I think that the audience capture and the money and the recency bias all formed this demonic stew that turned you into what you are, which is, yes, the straight up shill.
Nobody gave a fuck that you didn't buy Street Fighter 6. Nobody gives a fuck what you do with your money. In fact, that's the best thing that you can do, is just not buy it. But you...
Correct. And we would also like others to not buy it so that this fucking mentality does not persist. So they quit, so that they can quit making these remakes. They're going to bastardize Code Veronica next. They're about to bastardize Resident Evil Code Veronica. If the leaks from what we're hearing are true, it sounds like a completely different fucking game. Just again, coasting on the nostalgia that is Code Veronica. It doesn't even sound, it's going to be semi-open world when you play as Claire. You're going to be on a fucking motorcycle at times. You know good goddamn well they're going to remove all the making fun of Alfred Ashford for, being a cross-dresser and, being, what was his name? Alexia Ashford. Hey, shout out. I see there's a raid incoming. Thank you for the raid. Fact of the matter is, yes, we do want people to vote with their wallets. We do want people to not buy this. Then we got shills like you, paid by Capcom, getting flown out to events, getting to get all the games early. Like they said in that post, having your voice be the new dub over, even if it was just for a promotional pre-release of the iconic classic Resident Evil tagline. Yeah, you're going out and telling people these games are the greatest things since sliced bread, or the greatest things since slicing your dick off, whatever. And needless to say, there's going to be a bunch of uninformed people who buy it because you tell them to, because they think of you as a trusted voice when you are not to be fucking trusted. Was it Resident Evil 5 that you play as Chris? You play as Chris in Resident Evil 1. You play as Chris in Resident Evil Code Veronica. You play as Chris in Resident Evil 5. You play as Chris in what is allegedly Resident Evil 8. You play as Chris in the DLC for Resident Evil 7. Chris is the most consistent playable character in all the Resident Evil games.
Probably bought it anyway because you lie to yourself, hater. RE4 remake had microtransactions. It has the exclusive upgrade of RE4 remake had microtransactions. It has the
yes it did, dude. I love seeing the reckoning of this bitch. I fucking love it. This dude sucks. Nobody gives a fuck. His boss, Capcom, certainly gives plenty of fucks. It's funny how no matter how much voice training these people do, they'll always sound just like a guy with a cold. And it's super funny because Sphere Hunter can do a convincing female voice when it's like doing its pre-recorded videos and it gets all the time to do with the retakes and the scripts and whatnot. But when they're doing a live stream and they're getting all emotional, all of a sudden, yep, you realize that's definitely a dude. I do be like that. The shill allegations wouldn't have been so damning if he hadn't made a big show out of not reviewing Silent Hill 2 remake, being called a paid shill with a Capcom creator's desk mat right there. I didn't even read the desk mat. Imagine being called a paid shill and being one white people who call me a paid shill. Bitch, you got a Capcom creator's desk mat. Holy shit. Banger comment. Dude looks like a chud jack with a wig on. Don't buy the game. You didn't even buy it, hater. Buy the game. It's bad. You still bought it. I mean, again, it makes about as much sense as cutting your own fucking dick off. So yeah, all in all, I just here. What's this? What's
this? Game
this?
Looks like shit, so Sphere Hunter will probably say it's good. Hey, Mr. Pedro. I hope we find them soon. This game looks like shit, so Sphere Hunter will probably say it's good. Hey, Mr. Pedro Rocks 01. Go fuck yourself. Fuck off. Fuck you.
Yeah, very womanly response. Very feminine response.
I've been against that game since the fucking first trailer. You cunt.
Incredible. I've never heard of a Karatnoth herd this big before.
Fuck off.
What up, devil? Yes, very feminine indeed.
I like good games, you piece of shit.
No, clearly you don't, because I've seen the games you review. By the way, this is another reason we know this ain't a real woman. It's another reason we know it ain't a real woman, because it's playing video games, and women aren't gamers. Mostly. I know you're watching, Seb. Exceptions to the rule and all. Something seems weird about this guy. Sounds like he's been gargling too many secrets.
Chat room. Now commencing the hunt by order of the guild. God, the animation work looks.
The man seems angry.
Game looks mid. Whatever you say, I have no attachment to Monster Hunter. I'm sure you just said that because I said the animations look good, right? That's why you said it. It looks like it looks good. It looks low budget. It looks a little fan gamey, you know, that their SH2 remake. Why do the closers scream and make your head hurt? I can't believe this motherfucker came into my chat and said, it looks like shit, so you'll probably like it.
Well, you liked Resident Evil 4, so it makes sense. Does this unironically say... No, it's Alan Wake. For a second, I thought like there was an unironic Alan Woke thing in the back. All right. So, yeah, I just want to rage about that for a bit. I saw that, Spear Hunter was taking massive fucking L's, and y'all know me. I like it when shills for the industry take L's. In fact, we're going to be talking about that a little bit later. It's in the fucking title. The industry shills be taking L after L, and it is all crumbling down. I'm sure it's even worse for Spear Hunter, because you already know their mentality fucked in the head on account of their tranny, which means, mentally ill to begin with. So that's nice. That's awesome. But let's go to the first title card. Let's go to the first title. Imagine getting one guide and crashing out, right? Got one guide. Well, I actually can't imagine somebody that used to be a guy that is no longer a guy, according to them, getting one guide and crashing out. Someone go make sure that nearby schools and churches have armed guards. Fucking facts. Speaking of schools, thanks for segueing into our first story of the day. We got a couple of videos from Warren Smith. A, because his videos are nice and short, and B, because he happened to put out 2 school-oriented videos back to back, and I think they're both interesting, or at least they both sound interesting. So this first one, students dismantle their leftist teacher in front of the entire school. Let's fucking go.
Students in the UK recorded this audio of them challenging their teacher because they disagree with the student in the class who claims that she's a cat.
I'm reporting you to Miss Willis. You need to have a proper educational
I remember. Okay, so this is an old story because I do remember this
conversation about equality, diversity, and inclusion.
The teacher gets so upset that she claims she's going to report them all.
Where the teacher should have gone with this conversation is, no, you can't identify as a cat.
They say, no, we're not going to play this game. And they challenge the logic that their classmate is in fact a cat. This sets the teacher off, though.
How dare you?
Bro, imagine being a grown-ass adult, right? You're a grown-ass adult. You're a teacher. It is your job to give students the tools and knowledge to grow up and be productive members of society. And you got a bunch of little chitlins, little underage chitlins running around being like, yeah, no, Mrs. Frizzle, I don't know what the fuck ever her name is. We don't think our student or our classmate here is a fucking cat. We don't think that they are a 4-legged feline without opposable thumbs that eats out of a bowl and shits in a sandbox. Like, we just don't ascribe to that. And this paid actor for the state is threatening to report all of them. This is amazing.
You just really upset someone. Saying things like should be in an asylum.
I didn't say that. I just said if they want to identify as a cat or something, then they're like genuinely on that. Then they've gone. Yeah.
I've seen this clip. This is an old clip. I forgot that it was You know what? Even as a misogynist, because this sounds like a little girl. I could be wrong, but it sounds like a little girl. And if so, based. Good on you, girly. Maybe, just maybe, you listen to enough men and you're actually saying shit like this. If you want to identify as a cow or something, you're a little unwell. Good job, little girl.
Crazy.
I mean, there's something to be said for that. If you believe you are a cow or a cat, there's something going on mentally.
You were questioning their identity.
No, I wasn't a question. I was just saying about the gender. I didn't say anything.
Yes, you're questioning their identity. Oh, it wasn't a question. It wasn't a question. I know full well they're not a cat.
About them.
But where did you get this idea from? There's only 2 genders.
The teacher acts like this is some extremist idea that, oh, you've been on the internet too much. Where did you get this idea that there's 2 genders? Now, the students take an interesting strategy here. If she's allowed to have her opinion that she's a cat, why can't I have my opinion that there's only 2 genders?
My opinion. That is my opinion. If I respect their opinion, can't they respect my opinion?
It is not an opinion.
But the teacher claims you're not allowed to hold that opinion.
By the way, the teacher is correct here. It's not an opinion, because an opinion is something that can't be proven. We could do a DNA test of Catwoman there and realize that, oh, she ain't a fucking feline. So yeah, it is in fact a fact, but that's not what the teacher means.
Even though it's objective. truth.
Gender is not linked to do with not linked
There
to
is
the
only two
parts that you were born with.
So this is the move that we usually see. At some point, people just started to claim that gender is separate from sex.
That is about how you identify, which is what I said right from the very beginning of the
I just don't
lesson.
agree with that. So why should I have to listen to something I don't agree with?
Biological sex, there is actually 3 biological sex. Because you can
No, there's not. Intersex is not a biological sex. Even at the scientific level, the teacher is wrong. Intersex is not considered a third sex. But that's neither here nor there.
be born intersex.
This teacher goes on to even claim that there are some people that have no gender.
Transgender. There is agender, people that don't believe they have a gender at all.
Yeah,
Correct.
People don't believe.
Yes, it is a deformity. Solzon is exactly correct.
I'm learning some here.
And the students point this out. They say, how's that even possible?
yeah, it's not a lot, but it's our opinion. We just don't agree with it. We just think it's all just. If you have a vagina, you're a girl. If you have a penis, you're a boy. Yeah.
But cisgender is not necessarily the way to be.
Actually, it kind of is. Cisgender is not necessarily the. Hold on. If any other species on Earth were not massively, predominantly cisgender, or what the fuck, how would the species propagate and continue to go on and continue to exist without dying out? Yeah, even the dog's tired of their bullshit. Fucking for real. Yes, cisgender is a made-up word. It's amazing. This is true. This person is employed by the state to teach children. Just let that see. The UK thought, yup, gonna give this bitch a license. Sorry, mate, you got a license for that there teaching degree.
You were talking about the fact that cisgender is the norm, that you identify with the gender of the sexual organs that you're born with, or you're weird. That's basically what you're saying, which is really despicable.
How?
Wow,
If
it's
I
fact.
call my mum right now, my mum would be on my side. If I call my mum, she'd say.
Well, that's very sad as well then.
How is it? Loads of people agree with that. There's only a small majority of people who actually think that.
And why do you think we have so many problems in the world with homophobia?
Maybe because a lot of gay people are fucking retarded. Maybe that's why we have problems in the world with homophobia. People ain't homophobic enough because they're too afraid to be homophobic, right? But really, it's because gay people keep doing dumb shit. Trans people keep doing dumb shit. They keep going in, like, shooting up schools and whatnot. Like, I miss the old school gays. Old school gays would shut the fuck up about it and not tell you they're gay, and that was awesome. Islam. Excellent question. Excellent answer. Well, Islam accounts for a whole lot worse when it comes to homophobia. Like, at least we in the good God-fearing Christian lands ain't throwing these fucking fruits off of roofs.
The students point out this really has nothing to do with gay people. In fact, you couldn't have the concept of being gay if there was no such thing as biological gender.
That's not homophobia, that's gender. Yes.
Anjuna Main Chat sent 200 joules. Thank you so much. Yes, and he sent sunshine, which is really needed right now. It's super cloudy out where I am. Maybe that's why I'm already on one. Maybe that's why we're 24 minutes in the stream and I'm already fucking on one. No sunshine today. Super cloudy, which means no vitamin D. And vitamin D is the sun make you happy drug. So I appreciate it.
I'm fine with lesbians and gay people. Same. I've got nothing against them. Same.
But gender there is a link between it, and you're saying that people can't change
No, they
who they want
can't.
to be.
They can't. Unless you get a
so
penis
wrong.
attached. No, I'm not.
Bro, dude, why are the kids smarter than the teacher? Remember that old Jet Foxworthy show, that game show, Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? Imagine actually being a teacher for fifth graders. Now, I don't know if these are fifth graders. They sound like they're probably around that age. But imagine being an actual fifth grade teacher going on that show where you've got the you might be a redneck if guy. You know, rednecks, the people that are known for porking their own sisters. And then you lose the game show because you don't understand that boys have penises and girls have vaginas.
Confusing sex and gender.
No, I'm not though, because
Yes,
if you have
you
a
are.
vagina, you're a girl. If you have a penis, you're a boy. Yeah, you can't have a vagina and be a girl. But then
This is our teachers, bro.
The problem here is that the teacher claims they are objectively wrong in their analysis. She says it right here. This is not up for debate. She's saying you are.
Well, Alabama has less incest in the UK due to the Muslim invasion that Piers Morgan swears up and down isn't happening. I know someone that went outside and had an allergic reaction to allergic reaction. Sevi, it's not safe for content creators out there. You say that, my uncle Brian, back when he was like in his early 20s, actually did have an allergic reaction to the sun. Like, you can develop a temporary allergic reaction to the sun. It's a real thing.
Are not allowed to have that opinion.
But it's not an opinion that we express in this school.
It is.
No, it's not. And if you don't like it, you need to go to a different school.
This is where it just gets wild. She's clearly stating it's our way or the highway. We will kick you out of school if you do not buy into the student can be a cat.
So I'm reporting you to Miss Willis. You need to have a proper educational conversation.
A proper educational conversation. I would love to have that conversation. I'd be very curious to see how that would go and what that would look like.
About equality, diversity, and inclusion.
About DEI. What is...
This is why I point out DEI so much, because it encompasses so much. It's not just the racial component. It plays out like you're seeing here as well.
I'm not having that expressed in my lesson.
I mean, you say she needs to get fired, but this is what the state wants. This is what the UK government wants. This is what the deep state in general across the entire Western world wants. No, this is a model fucking teacher to this global cabal of evil fucking rulers. The acolytes of Soros. That's what we need. That's what we're gonna start calling, dude. This round table of demonic bullshit. We can call it the acolytes of Soros. We're gonna make our own like Dungeons and Dragons style RPG about the acolytes of Soros.
Teaching you about you can be who you want to be. How you identify is up to you.
But these students can't be who they want to be. They can't disagree with this person being a cat.
They just don't say it because then all this happens.
Maybe because they're polite and maybe they're sensitive.
The tolerance only goes so far.
I haven't said anything in all of the lessons I've been in. It's just because they turned around and started saying something. So I said, how can you identify as a cat when you're a girl?
Oh, well, they're now writing a statement. I would imagine that you'll be asked to write a statement as well.
Now,
see, what you need to do is you need to get the one that thinks it's a fucking cat to write a statement. Now, I don't know how it's going to write the statement on account of cats don't have opposable thumbs. And even if they could grip the pencil, it would just write meow, 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 over and over. I bet there's some of you are going to have the meow mix stuck in your head all day now, by the way. You're welcome.
Now they're being required to write statements. And this is in the UK. Maybe they have a different procedure over there. I'm glad this got caught on camera. Now, this recording caught the attention of the media in the UK.
The teacher, and I will make a direct quote, said, "That is not an opinion that we express in this school. And if you don't like it, you need to go to a different school." Now,
the way she dealt with it was completely unprofessional. And to
I just want to point out, you got a black bitch in the UK, and even she's saying, yeah, the teacher didn't handle this properly. Said that joke fast enough I could type it. Are you talking about the meow mix one? Well, yeah, good. I'm glad. But anyway, how fucked up is it that we got a black bitch in the UK, and she's even like, yeah, the teacher here was out of line.
say that if you express these views that she really has decided is unacceptable, I'm not sure she speaks for the whole entire school. If you don't like it, find another school.
Now, this is the interesting part when she turns over to one of the co-hosts.
This is bonkers, isn't it, Nigel?
Well, I mean, the teacher was unnecessarily aggressive on this one. I thought the kids were actually fighting back quite admirably. And
based, you're still kind of a flamboyant, probably got fucked up teeth on account of you're an old white British dude, but based nonetheless.
Where the teacher should have gone with this conversation is, no, you can't identify as a cat or an aardvark or a chihuahua or something like that. You cannot identify as a different species.
Who at first sounds reasonable, but it turns out he's actually of the belief that gender is subjective.
God damn it, I praised him too soon. I should have known. It was too good to be true. There's no such thing as a based Brit. I know, Anjuna, I was thinking it too. Finding a based Brit is like a unicorn. I only know of one, and she's usually frequently in the chat, and that's Fab. That's Alice, fantastically, amazingly brilliant Alice. I don't know if she's here today or whatnot, but that's the only based Brit I can actually think of.
And fluid.
But you think you can change your gender?
But I do think you can change your gender.
Why is it that a cat is too far, but changing my biological reality is not too far?
Bro, what? Okay, you had me in the first half.
Oh yeah, Rupert Lowe. Carl, Leftist, I forgot you were in the UK. I'm gonna be real. I forgot that you were in the UK. You speak like such a proper American. I forgot you were in the UK. If you just said something like "screw you," the color purple, and I'd seen it with the U, I'd have been like, "Oh right, yeah." Leftist is also from the UK. Since this is about regenerating as for you'd think they would stop pumping chemicals that cause injumarians. Yeah, no, they'll never stop. There's still hopefully honest students arguing with teachers first step asking somewhere. I'm not saying there's no hope. I'm actually incredibly white pilled on the subject. I'm not black pilled on this at all. I'm very much a believer of like the night is always darkest before the dawn, but I'm not black pilled whatsoever. I think that this is all going to turn out fucking awesome. And the way I see it, all the dumb motherfuckers that believe shit like this have already self-castrated and won't be able to have kids to pass it on themselves to the next generation. Nah, I think this is good. Sorry, old chap. That was indeed my error. Yes, there you go. Stop putting the letter R at the end of your words. Just put like a little like fucking hash mark or something. That'll remind me.
Bruh. You can't change your biology, brother. You can't.
And so that is enshrined in British law for most purposes.
So you think, so for example, I could decide so you're saying a cat is me taking it too far, but I could
It's a different
decide.
species, so it would be ridiculous.
So as long as it's
any
the
more
same
than you're a pillar
species,
box.
Okay, you can't change your species, but you can change your entire biological makeup. Makes sense.
Could identify, as long as it's the same species, you're comfortable that I could identify as that.
And she makes an interesting move here.
So I could identify as a man.
Yes, you can.
Could I identify as a black man?
Then it gets more complicated because...
No, that would...
Once you start bringing skin color into it, it gets... Look, I'm going to be real, guys. I'm going to be real. I've seen that Drewski video, right? The black comedian. He dressed up as like the fucking white dude, like the down south white guy with the overall thing off the shoulder. Drewski was a far more convincing transracial. He was far more convincing as a white guy than 99% of these dudes that cosplay as women. I would actually believe in transracial before I believe in transgender because I've seen enough black dudes cosplay as white dudes and vice versa, white dudes cosplay as black dudes, and it be convincing. I would believe in transracialism before I believe in transgenderism.
Be too far. Well, why? He can't explain why. It just gets more complicated. That's how these conversations go.
Transgender is something that is a personal necessity.
What do you mean by a personal necessity? Well, why can't being a black man be a
And being able to transition to a different animal is a bare necessity. A simple bare necessity.
personal necessity? Who gets to define personal necessity?
Stop there, Edward. If I can change my biological sex, then I can change my race as well. Don't pick and choose now.
If you're trying to
I don't know about blacker than Atreus, but I definitely get blacker than sheep.
change your race, that is a choice, and it also affects another community.
Well, but do you not think that this whole transgender thing affects another community, men, saying that they can be women?
You know what? Yeah, I didn't even really think about it, but you're right. I am determined. Let's see just how many different fucking earworm song references I can make throughout the entirety of the stream.
Do you not think that the community of women are affected by that?
Well, they are, and that's where we talk about women's spaces.
And this is where this whole thing crumbles.
But if under the law,
albino black sheep is fucking crazy. Bro, albino black sheep is wild. I will now only exclusively refer to him for that.
a woman can have a penis.
Yeah, I mean,
and the question then is whether or not that woman should be able to use women-only spaces. I think not, by the way. But the only difference under the law is you don't send a trans woman with male genitalia into a
No, did he really? Has he changed it? Has he fixed it? There's no way. Hold on. Did Atreus misspell? Why so soft? Oh my God. He misspelled. And he has had nearly a day to fix it. He has had nearly a day to fix it. Are you joking? Atreus, what the fuck? Okay, no, guys, I can't be that black. I can't like it doesn't matter how many do-rags I put on, doesn't matter how much I don't wear deodorant, doesn't matter how many books I choose not to read. I'm not gonna misspell a 2-syllable word. God damn. R.I.P. Atreus.
Well, yeah. Firstly, just because something is law doesn't mean that it makes sense or that it's right. And you know, if some...
Bro, this is the first time I've seen 2 women destroying a woke dude. This is not. This is usually the other way around, bro.
The logic is the same. It doesn't matter if you're identifying as a different race or if you're identifying.
He's gonna blame AI. His intelligence itself is artificial, apparently.
As a different species, because the whole point of being transgender and having gender dysphoria is the idea that you were placed in the wrong body.
All right, so we had that video, but then he has another one. This one came out literally just earlier today. Fed up father publicly dismantles leftist superintendent of his kid's school. Now, I don't know if this was the UK. I don't know if this was in America. More artificial than intelligent, exactly. I can't wait to see how this gets. These videos always make me happy. Whenever you've got a concerned parent that comes in and talks to the school board, it's like, hey, why is this book that's talking about like penises going into assholes in explicit detail in my 4th grade child's library? Like this gonna be good. I'm quite happy with where this is gonna go. I can already tell.
This dad absolutely decimated the school board and calls out the superintendent.
Dr. Kelly King is sitting right here to my left.
All they can do is try and shut him down by claiming, hey, you can't point these things out because that's a personal attack.
Dr. Kelly King makes over $250,000 a year. Every 4 years, we give her $1 million. And she's doing things that I completely disagree with. In a recent video in 2017, she reflected Glendale Unified Policy when she stated, we have a lot of resistance from male coaches who are horrified at the thought of having a biological girl changing clothes in front of them. Which biological girls are...
That's, yeah, that's, as a male coach, that is something you should probably be afraid of, something you should worry about. If, like, all my coaches going up into school male. All of them. Hey, catch you later, Uncle Martin. Have a good rest of your day. All my coaches growing up in school were male. Every one of them. You know good goddamn well the sort of trouble that they would get in, because we live in the Midwest, right? We live in the hog folk, dog folk country. Male gym coach walks in and sees a fucking biological male changing in the changing room. They are going to light that fucker up. They're gonna hog tie him. They're gonna, what's it called when they like tie you to the fucking back of a truck and they start driving, road haul you or whatever? Yeah, no, this is a very valid fucking fear.
Changing clothes in front of coaches in Glendale Unified? That's a question I'm genuinely asking. She continued, it's not a girl. It's not a girl. It's not a girl. You only have boys in the boys' locker room. She just said it was a biological girl.
May I just start
I'm
for a
speaking
moment?
now. No, I'm speaking now. This is interrupting my time.
We can see the school board try and shut this down. They really don't like this. And they're going to use the common strategy. What you're saying, sir, is a personal attack. Therefore, you can't say it.
Well,
No, I don't consider it a personal attack whatsoever. I mean, when he said she is paid $250,000 a year, every 4 years, she gets a milli, and she's trying to tell the school, she's trying to make the rules and dictate that male coaches have to be in the locker room with biological females. They're pretending under some fucking delusion that they're a boy. No, that's gonna cause some fucking issues.
we can pause the time. Can you pause the time for a minute? I only want to say that to refrain from personal attacks. So please.
She is a government official.
This guy does a good job because he can clearly see the game is being played.
She's a government employee. This is not a personal attack. I pay her salary with my tax dollars.
Again, please talk.
A personal attack is when Troon shoots up schools. You good goddamn right, son.
Towards the policies that you
I'm
are
talking about,
against and refrain from personal attacks.
If calling out a superintendent's actions at a school is a personal attack, we would never be able to call out that superintendent.
Correct. But that's what they want. They don't want you to be able to call out the superintendents. They don't want you to call out the teachers. They don't want you to call out the principals. They don't want you to call out anybody that actually makes these school systems, well, I was going to say function, but I feel like function is probably the incorrect word here. But you get what I'm saying.
In what way have I personally attacked Dr. King? She is acting within her official role as assistant superintendent at Glendale Unified.
That's the best thing you can do in a situation like this is get specific. In what way am I attacking her? How am I attacking her? They can't respond.
How is that a personal attack? I'm talking about tax dollars being used in a way that I disagree with. I'm going to continue.
Continue talking about the policy that you disagree with.
You mean the policy that he was talking about? Sure, yes, I'll continue doing exactly what I was doing, you dumb, spineless fuck. And again, of course, it's a woman in charge of the board. It's always fucking women. It's a woman in charge of this board. Anybody surprised?
Dr. King quoted to say that biological girls
In high school, our football team had 2 female soccer players as our field goal and kickoff players, and they had an actual different room with female special teams coach. Exactly. It's not that fucking hard. Exactly.
girls were changing in front of male coaches. And then, so she knows it's a biological girl, and then proceeded to say it's not a girl 3 times. You know it's a girl. You know it's a girl. Or
Okay,
you know
so
it's a
she's
boy.
an
You know
employee
it's a
of
boy.
ours.
How is he not calling out?
It doesn't care. It doesn't matter if she's an employee. In fact, the fact that she is an employee is the reason this is being called out. Again, she is a government employee. He is exactly correct. Hey, my tax dollars are funding this. Why should my tax dollars be funding somebody that could potentially get another one of your employees, another government employee, another member of the school, the male coach, fired for some sort of impropriety due to your blatant disregard for actual biological facts?
Policy. This is the manifestation of policy.
And if you wouldn't mind telling us what policy you dislike.
There is why am I being interrupted for speaking about an official member, a superintendent at Glendale Unified, speaking in an official manner? You cannot interrupt me for that. You have no ability to do that. And furthermore, the rules stated you won't debate. You're debating me right now.
School board meetings are an interesting play.
To be fair, yes, the rules might say you won't debate. When a bitch ever gonna follow that rule? When a bitch ever gonna follow that rule, dude? You could lay out the most clear, concise ruling for it. It's like, hey, what size shoe do you wear? Oh, well, I wear, sometimes it's a 9, but if the shoe's made in 7, it might be an 8.5. But then again, if it's combat boots, it's actually probably closer to like a 7.5. Bitch, just answer the fucking question. God damn. It's always a debate with broads.
They run similar to a courtroom and you have an allotted time. It's almost like a congressional hearing. It is meant to allow the public the ability to speak.
I'm going to continue. In discussing permanent records, she states that she keeps permanent records for a handful of trans students literally next to her in her room. She does not indicate.
Well, that's creepy. That's real creepy. You got yourself just like a little fucking file of all the trans kids that you keep next to you in your office? I feel like we need some hard drives checked, people. I feel like we need some fucking hard drives checked. That's sus. That's sus as fuck. Bitch got a fuck note. Yeah, it's like a death note, but for trans kids. And then again, I guess a death note is a death note for trans kids. At least 42% of them.
That person's gender identity for fear that the parent might find out. Why is she concealing this from parents?
And we can see on the sign in the background, this is in fact a middle school.
She says, we kind of go out on a limb, and we know that's controversial to some people. Which people? Which parents? Armenian parents? Christian parents? Are those the ones who are being excluded from knowledge on their own children and their own identity in Glendale's Unified School District?
This is the concern we've been hearing. This allows us to actually see how it plays out.
And you preach inclusive policies. We can talk about that policy. Yet she's excluding parents. She's excluding parents. I'm going to continue.
And I might just
dude, listen. It's like no. You need to know your place. You need to know your place as a city official, as a government official, as somebody who is only employed by my tax dollars, and as a fucking lowly woman. Therefore, you are beneath me. So I'm just going to continue.
ask for a pause and ask for information. Maybe I'm mistaken. Can you pause the time for a moment, Mr. Son?
Ask for information. He was about to give it to you. He said, oh yeah, let's talk about that policy. Pause. Any information? Well, he just said, let's talk about the policy. Is that not the information, you dumb hoe?
Again, thanks.
Real quick, the sponsor of today's video is Marsmen. So with summer coming, maybe you're trying to think more about your physical fitness. Guys, as we get older in our 30s, we start to store more fat. It starts to get a little bit more difficult to keep that physique. And the main reason for this is changes in our testosterone. Testosterone levels tend to start dropping in our 30s. That's why I decided to start trying Mars Men, and it has made a big difference. I've gone through 3 of these. Mars Men is a natural supplement designed to support healthy testosterone levels, which can help your body burn fat more efficiently and build lean muscle. Just real natural ingredients that support healthy T levels, weight management, and exercise performance. The quality is legit. It's made all in the US, and every batch is third-party tested. There's a 90-day money-back guarantee. So worst case, if you don't like it, you can get your money back. But over 91% of customers seem to really like it. I've noticed a higher energy level from it. You can go to their website to look closer at reviews. For a limited time, our listeners...
I love Warren, but if he knows a higher energy level, he's not been taking the shit before his videos. His videos are quite dry. Now, they're very informational. He makes a lot of good points and a lot of very well-articulated arguments. But his energy levels ain't quite there.
Listeners can get 50% off for life, plus free shipping and 3 free gift cards at mengotomars.com. That's mengotomars.com for 50% off and get 3 free gifts when...
That's a pro gamer strat right there. Bro, that's a pro gamer strat. I'm going to tell my doctor I'm a trans man and get them to give me testosterone for free. Bro out there beating the fucking system, son.
You check out, and it's also available on Amazon. After you purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them. Please support this show and tell them I sent you.
So I wouldn't mind getting input in terms of, is this...
And they can't contend with anything he's saying, so they're going to fall back on their strategy of you're not allowed to call this out.
So my understanding, again, is that we...
Yo, why does this bitch look like an even uglier... Oh my God, what was her name? That fucking Warhawk that was running in the Republican primaries for the most recent election. Nikki something, right? Why am I blanking? She's so fucking irrelevant. That's why I'm blanking on her name. Y'all know who I'm talking about.
We are the arbiters of policy. That is our decision. And so our employees are operating based off of our direction and the direction up here at the dais. So it is
Nikki Haley, thank you.
To criticize the policy. It is appropriate to question that. It is not appropriate.
Bro, look at the dike cut on this. It's like Anne Hesh ate Anne Hesh.
To personally attack and denigrate a specific employee. I do not believe that that is covered under the public comment.
I'm not personally attacking anybody.
Yes, you are, sir.
No, ma'am.
Yeah, no, he's not. And you're a dumb hoe. The other bitch is a dumb hoe. Women should not be on this board. Repeal the 19th. I'd say back in the kitchen, but you look like you couldn't even make macaroni and fucking cheese. You look like you can definitely put it away, though.
I am not. I am not.
That, by the way, was a personal attack. That, by the way, was a personal attack.
Personally attacking her. I disagree with what she said in her role as assistant
So then you
superintendent.
disagree with the policy. So please continue with the disagreement of the policy.
The policy that this dumb bitch is enforcing. Like, it's not even a case of these bitches not being good faith. It's one thing to accuse them of not being good faith. I think they're just so fucking stupid they can't wrap their heads around it. Because they're women.
I am disagreeing with her, and this is not, you are debating me right now. You said you would not debate me. Why are you debating me?
So you're using that particular thing inappropriately, the fact that we don't debate. So
I am not attacking her personally. This is under her official role as assistant superintendent at Glendale Unified. You are not allowing me to speak freely in a government entity about a government employee. I pay her taxes. I have every right to speak about her in particular within her role. I'm not talking about where she lives, what she looks like, anything like that. Nothing personal. This is purely professional, and this
No,
is
no,
purely
no.
governmental.
Takes that.
Can I continue?
Try to keep it professional.
I've already told you.
At what point has he not been professional? He has. Trust me, I've seen some of these fathers that go off on the school board meetings. He has been far more professional than the vast majority of them. Now, mind you, maybe he doesn't necessarily, maybe he shouldn't necessarily be, maybe he should be going all in, but he's not dropping any swear words. He's not actually attacking her in any non-professional manner, not calling out her looks, anything like that. He's not using any inappropriate language beyond, like I said, not swearing, but anything even beyond that. So at what point, define the parameters of what is not being professional in this instance. Dude, fuck every single one of these bitches. Wood chippers. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. Just wood chipper. I know that's usually reserved for like pedophiles and shit. I don't care. They're allowing this broad to be in a role where she's keeping trans permanent records at her desk. That's the banality of evil. That's close enough to me. Wood chipper feet first. Fuck them. I'm tired of it.
What I'm doing, and I'm making that very clear, and I'm not going to change.
Keep it professional.
What does that even mean? Try and keep it professional. This is how you can weaponize these concepts.
I have only kept this professional. You were debating me, and you were violating your own rules.
So,
You are
Mr.
violating your own
Sahakian,
rules.
go ahead and open the time again.
Thank you so much. Dr. Kelly King has worked with Gender Spectrum, an organization which you guys have actually paid money to in several schools. If that's not a conflict of interest, I don't know what is. She's worked with Gender Spectrum to produce gender support plans. In these gender support plans, she ranks parents whether on how affirming they are on a scale of 0 to 10. Who determines that? Based on what criteria? I'd love to know that policy.
I'm sorry, you looked at her when you said that. That's a personal attack, and we need you to be more professional. You can't look at her looking at her as a personal attack.
She says, if the parent's not affirming, the parent may not be involved in this document. That's the gender support plan. This may be a private conversation. So let's talk personal now, because she is. This may be a private conversation between that trusted adult at the school. Is that adult trusted by the parent? Who is the trusted adult? Define trust, please.
Watch.
Yeah, again, I'm curious. I'm curious about all these trusted adults in schools. Again, I brought this up before, but we'll do it again. Female teacher, sex with male student. And we'll just go to news real quick. Rhode Island teacher accused of sexting, kissing high school boy. Local teacher, sex abuse cases add up. Stop excusing female predators. New Jersey case shows real damage to boys. 2 Centennial high school teachers face potential felony charges in sexual cases with minors. Ex-student of New Jersey teacher accused of sex with child reveals unsettling red flags in her behavior at school. Female teacher, 22, arrested for sex. So yeah, who are these trusted adults in the schools? I'm very curious who these trusted adults in the schools are. Certainly don't seem to be these broads being around the kids.
This back. Ask yourself, has the school board contended with a single point he has made? All I'm hearing is them claim, hey, you can't say that. That's a personal attack.
This may be a private conversation between that trusted adult at the school and the student about how we keep you safe at home, emotionally and physically. Who's personal? Who's professional? Personally, I'm being professional. What she has done and the policies none of you have spoken out against is a complete deviation from that sacred boundary between government and personal lives and privacy, especially of minors.
Fucking based. We got Jensen Ackles, who does IT over here, just calling these dumb sluts out. Fucking based.
His logic is sound. He has the foundation, they do not. He's winning this.
And we're talking about sexuality, sexual identity, and you're not going to divulge that to parents intentionally? And again, she makes over $250,000 a year.
I can see no justification for the salaries that the superintendents and directors make. Meanwhile, the teachers make nothing.
Wow, 43%.
Hey, Natasha Apodaca? That sounds like a real Dune Coon ass name, but I'm a roll with it. Shout out, thank you for the sub, Natasha.
Only 43% of Glendale Unified high schoolers are proficient in math upon graduation. Only 65% are proficient in reading, and you pay that much money to institute those policies while you're failing, literally failing to produce the adequate students for the 21st century.
There it is, boys. There it is. This is what happens when you let females run the school system. Really, when you let females run any system, but the school system is a very easy one to point out because they control that shit. Like every single educational institution, at least since my childhood and onward, has been predominantly female ran. Female superintendents, female principals, female teachers. Like the sheer disparity between men and women in these educational institution roles is fucking insane. And look where it got us. It got us dumbass teachers that think that kids can identify as fucking cats. We need to kick these bitches out, dude. We need to get rid of all these bitches and just male. Even your most underqualified male would be a better leader of this educational institution than these women. Like without a doubt. We've all heard the stories like the high school boys soccer team beating these professional females in sports. You could do the same thing with pretty much every single job. You get these women out of here who are doing shit like this, and you hire some random dude with dreads that works at McDonald's, and he will do a better job. Maybe not if he's got dreads, because he might believe in the same sort of bullshit that they do. But you get my point. Boys need male role models and authority figures. It's because we're the only ones that can actually run a functioning fucking society. The only ones that can run a functioning fucking society. It's insane. How many matriarchal societies have actually existed in history and been successful? None. None. I only said them as literal milkmaids. Correct. Correct. Well, that was a fun first hour of the show. That was absolutely a fun first hour of the show. Women do not want society. They want chaos. Correct. In fact, we know women want chaos. They say it. I played a Hillary Duff clip the other day, like not last Neon Leon, but Neon Leon before that, where she was saying some sort of interview thing that after she got a divorce, she met this really nice guy, and she didn't want to date him because he was too nice, and she wanted something energy, some sort of chaos. Like, yeah, women openly fucking admit that she didn't want to date the guy because he was too nice, and she wanted chaos. Like that's not even this isn't even a exaggeration. Why women want to be with serial killers, right? How many women wrote? Now, to be fair, he wasn't a serial killer, and I don't think he should have ever gone to prison. Actually, it's kind of a bullshit trumped up charge. But how many women wrote Charles Manson love letters, right? Or what's his name? The vampire killer. His name was like Chris something. I don't remember. You guys, Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy's another one. Ted Bundy knocked the bitch up while he was in prison. He knocked a bitch up while he was in prison. Yeah, Bundy had so many female fans. Yup. Women aren't allowed to run shit. You shouldn't be. Yeah, Dahmer had female fans. Dahmer was gay and he had female fans. Dahmer was gay and there were bitches wanting to bone him. He was like turning cats inside out and shit. It's crazy. It's fucking crazy. Alrighty. All right, calm down. We'll get back to more politics stuff in a bit because I'm sure Leaflit's got a lot to say about Gamergate. But we're going to switch for a bit. We're going to switch gears. Because I talked about this a little bit yesterday. I talked about this a little bit Monday in reference to the Sega stuff. I brought up Sony a little bit. We talked about it a bit on Saturday Night Hypnosis as well. They can't say we didn't warn them. Unlike Atreus, Legendary Drops would not have spelled Sony incorrectly on his thumbnail. In fact, I think Sony is on the thumbnail and it's spelled correctly. Let's talk about the glorious downfall of Sony.
Oh, man. You know, I thought things were bad, but I didn't know they were this bad. And they're a lot worse than what people are telling you guys right now. You know, Sony has to feel scammed. You know, wool pulled over their eyes, sold snake oil, torching nearly $1 billion off the books because they...
What's Sega doing? Quick version of it, and if you're curious, you just go back and watch the countercast from Monday. It was literally the very first topic I covered, but quick version. Sega is pulling the plug on their massive super game project, which is going to be a big crossover event, live service game with all their IPs they're wanting to revitalize. They're pulling the plug on that because they don't see a future in live service. It's a massive blow to them financially, but it's probably actually much better for them in the long run. So it's a good decision long term that Sega made. That's the quick version. If you want the full thing, I spent like the first 30 minutes of the show of Monday's show talking about it.
They bought 2 failed live service games instead of 1. What a bargain. Surely it can't get any worse. Well, I've looked into it, and of course it does. Predictable. That's all I can say. It's the best thing that I can say. When you have audiences that are as loud as the people that have been around Bungie or Destiny or Marathon or hell, any other game right now, these guys, the players warned you.
Now, how much of this is the players knowing what they want? And I'm not saying this about gamers in general. I mean this specifically about Sony fanboys. Specifically about, because let's be real, while I'm very much a power to the players type of individual, Sony fans be mad dumb. Sony fans be fucking mad dumb. So on the one hand, if I was Sony, I'd be like, yes, I need to listen to these are my paying customers. On the other hand, if I was Sony, I'd be like, well, our paying customers are kind of fucking stupid. Why should we listen to them? Like, it could kind of go both ways.
All the signs were there. You had all the information that you needed, but you just refused to listen. And while I do think that it looks like Marathon's starting to make some of the right choices, that only came after you were financially incentivized by the audience to do so. And that's definitely not the way that things should go. This industry is just, there's so...
Which console fans aren't mad dumb? Dreamcast fans. Dreamcast fans.
So obsessed with reaching audiences that they just refuse to understand. They don't want to listen to you. They see you more as market share than they actually see you as people. And I don't think this is something that is just limited to Bungie or Sony. I think this is everywhere right now. I think a lot of the...
Yes, the costumer is always right. The costumer is always right. But Leon, you're a Dreamcast fan. Exactly.
Burn money in the failed live service games, just failed games in general that we've seen over...
He's a LARPer? Yes, Dreamcast guy is mad dumb. But Dreamcast guy is a LARPer. He ain't a real Dreamcast fan. I refuse to acknowledge that butt-tooth fucking acne-ridden filth as an actual Dreamcast fan.
For the past couple of years are because of this. I think Bungie is the cost of that blindness. The fact that these guys just don't want to see you as people. They only want to see you as a consumer. So today, I want to talk about how Sony has torched nearly $1 billion off the books because of Bungie. I want to talk about the fate.
It's so amazing that it's specifically Bungie. Like, you would think... Let's go back in time for a bit. Let's go back in time to when the console wars actually mattered. Bungie was probably like Bungie was the prestige name of Xbox, bro. The prestige name of Xbox. If you're Sony and you buy that up, that is a big dick energy move. Like, oh, the people responsible for building the Xbox legacy, that's mine now. Only for it to completely blow up in their face. It is so fucking delicious. Sony paid $4 million per employee at Bungie. And look where it got them. Oh, I love it!
Of Marathon and Destiny, and how an industry that is so obsessed with getting our money refuses to understand the people that spend it. Before that, a word from today's sponsor, Boot.dev.
By the way, I do understand the irony of me making fun of Sony while wearing a Mario shirt, but it's just a comfy shirt that looks good on me. I do understand the irony. Did you talk about Massey? I haven't decided if I was going to or not yet, if I'm being honest. Like, I've already got a pretty packed schedule for today's programming, and that wasn't on there. So I may talk about it, may get to it tomorrow. But yeah, I have been following the Massey stuff, yes.
Longtime partner of the channel and one of the best websites if you want to learn to code instead of just vibing out to a YouTube video in the background that you then close afterwards. If you guys actually want to learn how to do it,
I won't lie.
This is the site to use. I hop on the site in my free time because it doesn't feel like I'm actually studying. I'm earning XP, completing quests, fighting bosses, and the whole time I'm actually learning back-end development, Python, SQL, Go, real skills, the kind of stuff that would land you a job with a median salary of 100 grand or probably more, and you're doing it probably from the comfort of your own couch. There's a bear wizard named Boots that acts as your tutor. He doesn't just hand you the answers. Instead, it tries to push you towards figuring it out yourself. And then they also just drop the training grounds, which is basically infinite challenge grind, so you can really lock something in before moving on. It's the kind of thing that really respects your time without just padding out the entire course. All the content is free to read and watch, which means you could just go and teach yourself if you wanted to. Paid tiers just unlock the interactive stuff, the hands-on coding, AI help, and the...
There was that dude, there was that game dev that was interviewed on Joe Rogan. You say took a sip of the soy latte. Like, it will forever be one of the greatest quotes in gaming history. In modern gaming discourse, in a post-Gamergate world, that game dev that went on Joe Rogan and said, we need more people drinking Mountain Dew and less people drinking Starbucks. Bro, that was big dick energy.
Full RPG experience. Go to boot.dev if you're interested and use my code Legendary Drops at checkout. That's going to give you 25% off your first entire year on an annual plan. Link is in the description. I'll be real with you guys with the news cycle kicking into high gear, the stacked release schedule ahead of us, Grand Theft Auto 6 leaks that have been pumping, and Summer Games Fest right around the corner. I'd almost all but forgotten about Marathon, and it seems like just...
All right, let's be real. Even if none of what he just said, even if there were no Grand Theft Auto 6 leaks, even if Summer Games Fest wasn't right around the corner, like, we still would have forgotten all about Marathon.
It's about everybody.
Unless you're fucking Adam Krigler, right?
Else has too. Despite the game's defenders and games media trying to sell it off as something more than what it actually was, some game that was just destined for greatness that we just couldn't see yet. But, you know, in my eyes and in the eyes of a lot of other players, this game was just destined for failure. Bungie just flat out abandoned their audience with Destiny to go and make this new game and this new audience that was never theirs to begin with Marathon, and then they just made this game that was incredibly niche for an incredibly niche audience, and this was just always going to end the same way. And what was the result of that? Well, Marathon launched to a peak of 88,000 players, started declining within its first week, and it just never recovered from that. Instead, it just cascaded downwards.
Yeah, y'all want to see something funny? Hold on. Let's see if I can find it. Steam DB. Artful Escape. This game, Marathon, has effectively the same trajectory as the Annapurna fucking as the predecessor to Mixtape. Artful Escape, predecessor to Mixtape. Granted, much lower player count, 72 all-time peak, as opposed. But the point is the trajectory between that game is the exact same as this one. I love it. I love graphs.
It's now hovering around 12,000 players, down nearly 90% from their launch. A number, mind you, that you just flat out cannot survive as a live service. It's just not possible, especially with how much money they invested into this game, and even more so when you consider how many developers Bungie has and how much those guys are actually getting paid. So now Bungie has gone all hands on deck trying to save this new game, while support for Destiny 2 has grinded to a halt, showing those players exactly who they find more important and causing that game to tank just the same.
Now, I will push back a little bit. I would not say it's caused that game to tank. Like we were talking about on Saturday Night Hypnosis, Destiny was already in danger. Destiny was already falling off. People were already coming back less and less. So Marathon may have added to it, may have exacerbated the problem, but this was happening either way.
2 failures for the price of 1. That's not a deal that I would take, but it's one that Sony has, and somehow it has only gotten worse. During their most recent earnings call, Sony announced a $565 million impairment loss against Bungie, which combined with the $200 million impairment loss they took last year, now comes to the tune of $765 million. Sony CFO stated,
"Play stupid games, win stupid prizes, and Marathon is certainly a stupid fucking game."
Earnings from Bungie's title portfolio did not meet our expectations, so we downwardly revised our business plan and impaired the full amount of the fixed assets related to Bungie except for goodwill. So the whole reason that I made this video is because this is actually a lot worse than what people are letting on right now, because I'm sure not a lot of people are spending their free time trying to brush up on their accounting lingo. Fixed assets are things like software, engines, the physical assets. Goodwill is the brand. Bungie's games have flopped now to such a degree that Sony is forced to admit that those assets that they had purchased are no longer worth what they paid for, wiping nearly $1 billion off the books. And now, by impairing the full amount towards Bungie's fixed assets, the games themselves, the studio, the engine, the developers, Sony has basically put their back against the wall. If there is further impairment...
Well, no, Sony didn't put their back against the wall. Sony voluntarily put their employees' backs against the wall, because the higher-ups at Sony, the money men, the board, the executives, all of them, they're going to be fine, baby. They're just going to fucking roll with it. They're still getting their multi-millions. They are going to lay off a lot of motherfuckers, though.
Down the road, they are going to have to go against goodwill to the value of the Bungie name itself, the brand itself, and their reputation as a studio, which would then ultimately be the admission that this acquisition was a complete failure and would likely lead to the dissolution of the studio or very, very significant downsizing.
Dissolution of the studio, bro. That is music to my ears. That is music to my ears. Imagine Bungie getting basically dissolved and all of its employees, the ones that make the cut, being moved to other teams and other Sony-owned companies and studios and whatnot. That would be the funniest fucking thing I've ever... Like, the company that made Halo, obviously not the same team, obviously not the original team. We know those people are long gone. But the legacy, the company that made Halo, gets bought out by Halo's biggest competitor, and then they go under. It's George Lucas, baby. It's like poetry. It rhymes.
All of which I think was completely avoidable. I think a good chunk of the animosity that we see today from players is largely just coming down to the fact that they are not being listened to. And also how often these publishers and studios just deny reality that's right in front of them. Nobody wants to give us the time of day, but they still expect every single penny out of our bank accounts. And the more that continues to happen, the fewer changes that we see in our favor, the worse things are going to keep getting. And ultimately, it's just going to end in failure. I am just so sick of these self-inflicted wounds. I mean, both Sony and Bungie.
I'm not sick of these self-inflicted wounds at all. No. Do I want games to be good? Do I want games to be great even? Yes. And we still get so much of them. We still get so many good, great games, most times from the indie scene. Every now and again, a AAA banger will drop like Pragmata or something. I'm not tired of self-inflicted wounds. I'm a sadist. I like seeing people get hurt. It brings me selfish satisfaction and joy to see people in pain. So no, keep inflicting wounds. Keep the self-inflicted. Be the fucking 14, 15-year-old emo high school kid cutting yourself to feel. Keep doing it, Sony. I'm not sick of it. I will never be sick of it. Eventually, you'll be that emo kid, the proverbial emo kid that went to the rickety stool store and bought the hunk of rope, to quote Norm Macdonald, and then you will be gone. You'll be that emo kid. I can't wait.
Ignored so many warning signs on the way to get here that it is genuinely mind-blowing how they still ended up in this position. You know, before Sony even acquired Bungie, financial analysts were telling them that it was a bad deal. Michael Pachter told Sony that they had vastly overpaid, that they were paying around $4 million per developer when most deals were...
I know Serrano said this earlier. He said $4 million per employee. Technically, it's $4 million per developer, but even so, that is fucking retarded. There is not Encrypted Mind, you would know about things getting dark. There is not a company alive around today that is worth $4 million per dev. Not even with my Nintendo shillery would I think that Nintendo was worth $4 million per dev. That's insane.
Closing at around $250 to $1 million. He contrasted that with EA buying Respawn for $700 million when that studio was already making $700 million, while Bungie, at the same time, was only making around $200 million, while Sony was buying them for $3.6 billion. It just didn't make any sense. And in his view, the entire deal felt directionless. It felt like it was made out of desperation because Microsoft had just bought Activision. And man, was this dude right.
That's literally all it was. Microsoft bought Activision. Activision used to be like back in the day. Activision used to have banger games that were exclusively on PlayStation. Sony felt slighted, so they wanted to play tit for tat. Except for there was no tit for this tat. The thing is, Bungie doesn't have IPs that are valuable to compensate. Correct. You are absolutely correct.
This was a company with no plan that was buying another studio with no plan. I need you guys to understand the stupidity in all this. Like, try to make this make sense to me. You are Bungie. You have an audience that you've attracted for over a decade through Destiny, a live service.
But you don't have an audience you've attracted to yourself as a company. You have an audience you've attracted for one single IP. That is it. Like, that's not really an audience. At least that's not an audience that's loyal to you as a company. Like, people, you got two types of, let's just use Marvel as an example, right? We'll use Marvel as an example. You got two types of people. You got Marvel fans. They'll read all the comics, right? They'll read Captain America. They'll read Thor. They'll read the Avengers. They'll read Spider-Man. They'll read Iron Man. Like, but then you've got people that are Spider-Man fans, because Spider-Man dwarfs the entirety of of Marvel when it comes to popularity. You got people that don't give a fuck about Marvel. They only give a fuck about Spider-Man. That is every single Bungie fan. They're not actually Bungie fans. Like, there's no Marvel fans, right? Bungie could put out 6 or 7 other IPs. The Destiny fans aren't going to give a fuck because they're Spider-Man fans. That's what we saying. Batman, DC can't stand. But yeah, you exactly. You can use DC as well. You can say, hey, there's DC fans, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Justice League, all this. But then you got people that are like, no, I only read Batman. Bungie doesn't have any other IPs, so they don't have any other fans cultivated whatsoever. They can't just whip out new IPs and expect the people to migrate over. That's not how it works.
Service MMO that, while it does have PvP, you guys have largely stopped supporting it, making the primary audience for the game overwhelmingly PvE. They like dungeons, they like raids, they like stories, and then when it comes down to you making your next game, you get the bright idea that you're going to make something that audience is never going to be interested in. And on top of that, you're also going to effectively halt support for Destiny 2 while you support this new game.
And let's say you were trying to cultivate a new audience. Let's say you were trying to cultivate a new audience. You're going to let the Destiny players keep their Destiny shit. Who's the new audience? Who are you trying to pull from? Like, what competitor is out there that Marathon would be taking the lion's share? At least your goal would be to take the lion's share of the market from. I don't know. What is the actual... Because right now it seems like self-competition. Like, there's a reason that if you're an artist, if you're a singer, let's say you're Lady fucking Gaga, right? You put out a single. You'll wait a good 3 or 4 months before you put out another single. Why? Because you don't want to be competing with yourself on the charts. So right now, Bungie is competing with itself. Yes, I know, Kage. I'm an old school comics fan. I know. Who the fuck are you competing against? I don't know who was Marathon made for.
Leaving that audience hung out to dry while you have no allies. You are either dumb enough to make a game with no interest in retaining the customers that you already have, or you made a game that was actively trying to...
I wouldn't tell anything to Drake. Drake probably wouldn't talk to me on account of I'm not an underage girl.
Ignore them, assuming they would either buy anyway, or you just didn't mind losing them if they didn't want to buy it. That is quite literally the only explanation here, because it's not like Bungie or Sony could be surprised by any of this. From the moment that Marathon released, everybody let out a collective sigh when they realized that this game was going to be a hero-based extraction shooter with no PvE. Like, how generic can you get? Why do you guys have to keep forcing this one single mode on everybody right now? What is with the obsession with it? Whether it was Reddit threads, journalists, content creators, everybody was skeptical of this game from day one, and these guys never acted on any of it. Everybody kept asking whether there was going to be any PvE in the game. It came up again after their technical test when people were begging for it. Then you had all the time in the world after the art scandal to act on it. Sony delayed the game indefinitely. Again, they did nothing about it. They ignored another warning instead when the server slam came and you had 140,000 people that showed up to play your game, and they lost half of those players over the weekend when people have the most time to play the game, when the game was free to play. Free. How do you lose people when the game is free? Because they don't want to play it.
Because it's not actually free, because there is a cost, and it's a much more important cost than money. It's time. time is a much, because you will never get time back. You could fucking blow $100. You could blow $70. You could blow fucking $1,000. You can get that back. You will not get time back. So if you're giving something away for free, but they don't want to invest the time, that's a big red fucking flag. To quote Piccolo from Dragon Ball Z Abridged, Crimson Goku.
Bungie heard all of it. They saw the relevant data. They released it regardless, and they have found nothing but failure. In fact, these guys are failing so hard that it's likely going to end up killing both of their games. LD, why would you say that? That's a bold claim to make. I don't really think it's all that bold because PlayStation cannot let go of Marathon. And because they can't let go of it, it's going to destroy everything that they have, at least with Bungie. They can't let go of it because they can't bury another live service game prematurely, not with how many failures they've already had, not with how high profile of a failure Concord was, not with how much money they put into this game, and also with the impairment losses that they've taken against Bungie. Sony would have PlayStation's head because the investors would have Sony's head because of how much of a reputational hit that would take to the company and how incompetent it makes these guys look. So they are...
The reputational hit's there already. Like, whether they know it or not, the reputational hit is there. Nobody's playing this. It's not making any money. The internet, like, collectively, the internet is blasting this game. I've seen all of two people in my entire X feed, left, right, Democrat, liberal, conservative, whatever. I've seen all of two people say, no, I like it. It's fun. Everybody else, whether you got fucking whether you got hashtag MAGA in your username or pronouns in your bio, everyone is lambasting. Yes, and Adam Krigler is one of them. Exactly. I like Adam. He's a nice guy, but by God, he is way off the mark on this one. Anyway, everybody unified. Do you realize how difficult it is to get people to agree? To get the entire internet to collectively agree on something. You can't even get the entirety of the internet to agree with the price of a fucking McDonald's McDouble. You got some people that would defend the loss of the dollar menu. And yet the internet is unified about how fucking stupid Sony is. The reputational damage is here. You're just not seeing it quite yet because just like with everything else, Sony, you're behind.
Going to invest in Marathon. That is where their focus is going to be. And yes, by the way, before anybody says anything, I do know that Marathon is going to be making a PvE only mode. But that's the problem. They're over-investing.
It's too little, too late. You can do it now, sure. It's too little, too late.
Putting all hands on deck when it comes to trying to save this game and get it a heartbeat, or at least the best that they possibly can. And in doing so, they're ignoring Destiny. They're pushing back its content. That content is likely to be...
To be fair, I also frequently ignore Destiny. But then he tweets some dumb shit about how, wait, different Destiny.
Weaker or thinner or just worse in some way. And I think that Destiny, this might be a crazy thing to say, I think that Destiny is the winning horse in this race. And they're letting that horse just go out to greener pastures. Bigger name, already established. You have audiences that are already invested into it. Keep in mind that Marathon is a premium game. So fixing Marathon might bring the players back, but you still have to push copies, and that's something that Marathon...
It won't. By the way, I think Legendary Drops is being way too optimistic here. Or maybe it's being way too nice. Quote-unquote fixing Marathon is so much more than just adding a PvE. This game is dead. There is no bringing... Even if you get a 5% uptick in players, there's no saving this game.
Hasn't done since day one. This isn't going to fix that problem. It might bring a few players in, but not nearly as many as they need to be able to save this game. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Backwards engineering Marathon to be Destiny 3 just is definitely not the route for these guys to go, even though there's been some people that have been talking about it. And the reason why I say that is because this game was never designed to be that. So it's going to be a weaker experience because
plagiarism scandal was not enough to sink the game. Shit like that happens all the time. Like that was common knowledge in our circles, people that watch live streams, people that are in a gaming covers, things like that. But by and large, that actually was not that's not near enough of a thing to sink a game.
Because of it. And just getting Destiny 2 to be profitable again is just a hell of a lot easier than trying to revive Marathon at this point. It gives these guys the time to be able to figure things out. That's what they should be doing. That's not to say they should completely abandon Marathon, but that's what these guys are doing. They basically can only weigh on one side or the other. Only one of these games can survive right now. If I had to pick, it would be Destiny 2. And then you can figure things out with Marathon or figure out if you need to walk away from it. But that makes way too much sense. That's not what these guys are going to do, because that's leading in the direction of where the players are and what the players would actually want from them. And you're not a part of this conversation. You never have been. You're nebulous. You're a number on a spreadsheet. And the minute that I started thinking about that is the minute that I realized how much worse this is going to get. The one thing that has struck me odd about this whole situation is that Sony and Bungie seem to think that they have time, seem to think that they have patience with the players. But patience, I think, is like the last thing that anybody has left for Bungie. I've covered this in the past, but these guys have torched their reputation and goodwill so much that I honestly think that they don't have much of either one left anymore. Years of some of the most blatantly egregious monetization that we have seen in the industry. Heck, these guys have been the key leaders in normalizing a lot of the stuff that we've seen today, vaulting players' content that they had paid for, outright removing content that players had paid for, constantly taking more while rarely giving anything back, jading their own audience against them in the process, just to abandon them at Destiny's lowest point. I can kind of understand why Bungie would be chasing a fresh start with a new audience.
Right now, millions of people are in agreement that companies have fucked up, so that tells you how bad it is. Yeah, like by and large, most gamers are dissatisfied. Even the shills are dissatisfied. They're just not gonna fucking say it. And if they're not dissatisfied, it's because being shills, they don't actually play games unless they're paid to play it. But you know they're not buying it. They're always talking about how they're playing it on Game Pass. Fucking Booty Adams hasn't bought a game a day in his life. He always says, oh yeah, it's on Game Pass. Like, the only people that aren't upset spaghetti about the industry are the ones that are playing this shit for free anyway. Everybody else, now they might be upset for different reasons, but everybody's upset.
But diving headfirst into a new genre, reviving a dead IP with little support with existing player bases, and then doing all of that to carry on one of the worst reputations in the industry is just, it's so incredibly self-destructive. Such a preordained failure that I can't help but wonder what both Sony and Bungie were thinking when it came to this. And I just kind of came to the realization that I don't think they are. No, like seriously, I don't think for a single second that these guys have ever considered their wider reputation in the games industry, what people think of them, how content their players are, or whether or not they would even actually have any support for their next game. How you feel, what you think, and what you're interested in is just not a part of the process, and the process is the only thing that matters to these guys. Looking at the history of Destiny and all of its expansions is going to tell you as much. Hell, it's been the cornerstone of their business for years. Justin Truman talked about this at GDC in his infamous train analogy, where he explained that Bungie had to quite literally train the company out of the mindset of over-delivering, of doing more that's expected of them. He talked about how
a delayed game is eventually good. A bad game is bad forever. Correct.
Miyamoto was wrong when he had said that a bad game is bad forever, how Bungie has to stop their developers from adding something cool or delivering extra content even when they could, even when they had the ability to, because it might set them back in their release schedule. Or
imagine giving an entire presentation, game developers conference, and your leading point is that Shigeru Miyamoto, practically the godfather of game devs, is wrong. I cannot fathom getting up on a stage and telling an entire room full of people in an industry that was basically created by people like Miyamoto, nah, that dude was wrong the whole time.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Because it might end up making the players expect more from them as a result. I think that this mindset fully explains the position that these guys are in right now, and it explains modern Bungie and honestly a lot of the games industry at this point. But I don't think that these guys understand just how pervasive and toxic this idea of never over-delivering actually is. Like, yes, it's going to threaten you with crunch. Yes, it's going to wear out your developers. Yes, you're going to end up paying for it later. But those moments where you blow players' minds are the exact moments that matter the most. That is hit creation. That is what this industry is driven by. That is the moment that you turn a customer into a fan. That is the moment that people start buying your games because they...
When was the last time When was the last time you got a game, that you bought a game, a brand new game, specifically AAA, but if you've got some indie examples, it'll work, but it doesn't really make my point as well. But a AAA big studio game where you thought, wow, I paid $70 and I got all of this. I got endless replayability, all these features, over delivered. Like the only recent game I can think that's done that was probably Baldur's Gate 3. Monster Hunter World. I can't speak to Monster Hunter World. I don't know much about the Monster Hunter series. Yeah, I don't think RoboCop's a very good example. That's a AA game that's a AA game that, like, maybe it's got more content than I realize. I'm not talking about how much you enjoy it. I'm talking about, wow, the devs didn't have to go this fucking hard. They didn't have to do all this. This is absolutely worth every penny I paid and more. In fact, I feel like I underpaid. I should have paid more for this game. If you believe you should have paid more for RoboCop, hey, fair enough, because I haven't played the game, so I don't know too much. But I feel like that's not a very good example. Now, Baldur's Gate 3 and Elden Ring, fair enough. Crimson Desert, I can give you that. Crimson Desert, fair enough. Baldur's Gate 3. Monster Hunter World really did go hard when it launched. Yeah, maybe. I never played a Monster. Well, I played like a few minutes of a Monster Hunter game. I just didn't vibe with it. It wasn't my thing. Yeah, BioShock was 2008. That was almost 20 years ago. Surely there's a game more recent than 20 years that's made you feel like that. But you guys get the point.
Trust your experiences because they believe that you're about to do some work that nobody else can do. But these guys are prioritizing whelming their audience. Who makes that their goal? Why would you do that? Especially in video games. This entire industry is built around swinging for the fences. And this mentality is now completely baked into their corporate structure, down to a developer level. The idea of never over-delivering, never overextending applies to their own people. I mean, it is their number one core tenet on their hiring page. World-class people, world-class teams. We hold ourselves and each other to the highest standard of mutual respect, inclusivity, and support, knowing...
Honestly, even as somebody that doesn't like the modern-day Zelda format, yeah, Tears of the Kingdom is the last truly great game I played, and it was nearly a decade ago. What, nearly a decade ago? Tears of the... I think you mean Breath of the Wild. Tears of the Kingdom was like 4 years ago. But yeah, Breath of the Wild was almost a decade ago.
That team members who speak their minds and take risks will accomplish what no individual ever could. Our wins are always team wins. And then their third one is, we know that our first idea will never be our best. Constant improvement means setting egos aside, sharing ideas early and often, and offering constructive feedback with open hearts and minds. So your philosophy is to neuter your staff while getting rid of individuality in a creative field.
Now, to be fair, in this modern day and age, neutering your staff actually does seem like it would be company policy, yes.
Genius, really. Creative industries are full of egos. They have to be. At some point, you have to have somebody in the room.
God of War Ragnarok, really? You think that the modern faggot-ass God of War games really went above and beyond? That's cute, buddy.
That has an idea that they feel is worth fighting for. Somebody has to be stubborn enough to say, no, this is the thing. This is what makes this special. This is what we have to do. And we're going to do it that way. Obviously, ego can become toxic in some cases. Obviously, it can get out of control, but trying to strip it out of the process entirely is exactly how you end up stripping out any conviction or identity in any of your games. Great games do not come from everyone politely just handing around their ideas in a circle until nobody really feels all that attached to anything. And now when you go and you pair this with their studio philosophy built around over-delivering and never over-delivering, what are we even doing here? Don't get too ambitious.
Bro, How many times, and it's probably rarely happened in your life, which is why when I say how many times, you can probably actually think of it happening. Bro, when you go to McDonald's, right? You go to McDonald's, you order yourself the 10-piece McNugget. You go to McDonald's, you order yourself the 10-piece McNugget, and you open that bitch up, there's 11 McNuggets in there. Holy shit, you hit the jackpot. Those 11, whoever was behind the counter, they were putting the food in the bag and everything, they over-delivered. They over delivered, and you're like, oh, bro, thank you, Frymaster. Thank you, Frymaster. See, Serranos, last time I went to Wendy's, I got an extra nugget. Yeah, best day of my life. Like, y'all get it. When we talk about over-delivering, we thank our lucky stars when the dude making minimum wage putting our nuggets in the box give an extra single nugget because that's that level of over-delivering. Gamers remember games that over-delivered. I don't give a fuck how much you hate woke shit, this, that, or the other, how much you want to dog on Baldur's Gate 3 because, oh, bear sex or whatever. Even detractors got to acknowledge that game came out on time. Game came out finished. It's got thousands upon thousands of hours of content. It's fucking crazy.
Don't push too hard. Don't try to surprise the players with too much because they might expect more from you later. Set your ego aside. Feed the process.
I was one of the what for Baldur's Gate? Absolutely. I hate 5th edition. I hate 5th edition. I can acknowledge that I've said from the very beginning, Baldur's Gate is objectively good. I don't like 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, therefore I don't like it. I've never once called it bad, so I would not say I was a detractor. I would not say that I was a Baldur's Gate 3 detractor at all. I just acknowledge I don't like 5th edition D&D.
Keep the train moving. And these guys are sitting around wondering why audiences feel like nobody on the other side actually gives a shit. You created a culture that is terrified of the one thing that people love games for in the first place, something unexpected, something unique, something creative, something individual.
And mind you, I've enjoyed playing Baldur's Gate with Sevi. Don't get me wrong. I've enjoyed the process of playing it with Sevi, but more just for the interaction and hanging out, stuff like that, because I fucking hate 5th edition D&D. I've always hated 5th edition D&D.
I've always said that the games industry has a leadership issue, and now Justin Truman is head of this studio. So it makes a lot of sense why these would be their core tenets, why this would be their belief, why this would be their plan or direction. You now have years of under-delivering, years of refusing to listen, years of neutering your own developers, and it's all finally catching up with these guys. The trains may be on time, but what happens when nobody's left at the station, Justin? Something I don't think that these guys have taken the time to think about is just what happens when you continue to under-deliver. What happens when you care more about the process than you do the game or the developers or the players themselves? Well, you can't.
But see, that's an oxymoron. Because, what happens when you care more about the process than you do the game or the development? That's all part of the process. That should be part of the process. When you're caring about the process, well, the process is what makes the game. The developer's the one that make the game, and they use the process to do so. It should all be wrapped up into one fucking package.
Constantly are putting yourself a step behind. You might be getting your content out on time. You might not be crunching, but you're constantly losing interest and reputation every single step of the way, which means the next leap that you have to take to find any win.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. I don't give a fuck if devs have to crunch. Oh, no, you had to spend the last 2 weeks working on the game, sleeping at the fucking office, working 16-hour days. Boo fucking who. We've all been there. We've all had to work overtime. We've all had insane busy weeks. You certain jobs, you get like, dude, imagine being a fucking nurse on a full moon. I'm sorry, I don't give a fuck about crunch. It is your job to give me the game as the customer that I want, that I'm going to inevitably pay $70 fucking for, except for I'm not, because I don't buy games new because I'm smart, but you get my point. I don't give a fuck if a dev has to go through crunch. In fact, if you'd have been doing the job proper from the beginning, you wouldn't have had to go through crunch.
Is basically just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger until eventually you reach a point where there's just no recovery to be had. Instead of taking the train, your customers have now found another mode of transportation. These guys have moved on to other games, other communities, and a lot of these guys are probably never coming back. When I look around the games industry, I think some of the most successful games that we're seeing right now are single-player games. And I think a huge reason for that is because those games are built around the idea that they need to blow your mind the minute that you press play. They have to be the game that has everything that you could dream of and more. And those studios and publishers are throwing everything they can at the wall just to get your attention. It's all gas, no brakes. Look at something like Crimson Desert. Those guys just keep adding.
I was about to say, he is literally describing Crimson Desert right now.
More and more content to their game because that's what it takes to make a game successful. That's what it takes to keep players happy. You're not trying to manage them. You're trying to win them over. I think that Bungie has built
Expedition 33. See, and you can maybe consider that one of those games that over-delivered. I don't really know if that's I think Expedition 33 delivered exactly from a gameplay and replayability perspective and whatnot, what it what was expected. Expedition 33 should be the baseline. That should be normal. The fact that Expedition 33 is so loved and so lauded and whatnot is actually kind of sad. And I'm not saying that to disparage E33, not at all, because I mean it's a generational W. But the fact of the matter is, what E33 is, that used to be fucking standard. That just used to be what AAA gaming was in the PS2 days, the Xbox, the GameCube. Maybe you could even say PS3, Xbox 360. In fact, I know you could say PS3, Xbox 360, Wii era. Like, Expedition 33, that should be the baseline. That shouldn't be lauded as something like this incredible, amazing triumph. No, that should just be how the industry normally fucking works. What up, Fab? We covered some Brit stuff earlier. Missed it, but that's A-okay.
A culture of failure. And if they were still operating with a hit mentality, if they were still looking to be a blockbuster studio, if they were letting their developers be more expressive, if they actually listened to their audience instead of treating them like a problem to manage, I don't think that they would even be in this position that they're in today. You have 2 failed live service games, 2 objective failures, a fan base that you guys have spent years grinding down, and an internal culture that is built around under-delivering. How exactly are you supposed to recover from that? You either go all in on Marathon while Destiny continues to spiral and you risk losing both games. You pivot to Destiny, and now you're effectively admitting that you've spent the last several years completely wasting your time. There's just no clean way out for these guys, because every single decision that these guys have made has been without the audience in the room.
And you know what? It's easy it is to blame Bungie. And frankly, you should blame Bungie. I like blaming Bungie. It's fun. You gotta blame Sony. Shit rolls downhill. These were bad decisions from the top down. Every single thing that led to Bungie making the decisions they made for Marathon all starts with Sony. So blame them both, because fuck them both, but blame Sony even more.
You cannot build your future while treating the people who decide it like an afterthought. As crazy as it may sound, I do actually hope that this game recovers, though I don't actually.
That does sound crazy, and no, you are retarded for thinking that. I love Legendary Dross, but he is retarded for saying that. No, we as gamers should want shit like this to fail miserably, because that will send the fucking message. I don't want gamers to put their tail between their legs and say, oh, well, the devs fixed it, so I'll come. No, fuck you. Fuck you. You gave out the Leaflit thing is next. The Leaflit is literally the next story we're covering. This video is almost done. Anyway, you gave the middle finger to your audience for basically 6 straight years. I don't want to see any recovery. I want to see you fail. That is the only way the message can be sent.
I believe that's going to be the case, but I hope that the PvE update delivers exactly what the game needs, and it ends up being really good and exactly what people actually want from the game, and they find success from it because, well, to be honest with you, man, I'm actually kind of sick of seeing a lot of these games die and a lot of the players just not getting anything from it. They're the ones that are suffering the most from this. While these companies are definitely suffering a lot financially, the players are also suffering as a result, and that's the part that probably bothers me the most, but I just don't think that these guys can recover from it. And even if they do, they're likely just to find themselves in the exact same position. I mean, look at where they are right now. They can barely even support both games at the exact same time. Actually, they can't seem to support both.
I haven't seen the video yet. I don't know, but the whole meltdown was a facetious thing. Me and Leaflit are me and Leaflit are chill with each other. So that was just, I won't lie, it's just straight up fucking titling and algorithm bait, baby.
Games at the exact same time. And I read through a lot of the notes where they were talking about the updates and the changes that they're going to make. They're talking about wanting to make sure that they can integrate all these new features by season 5. It's not even season 2 yet. You realize that you realize that High Guard had a 1-year roadmap, right? You guys don't have as much time as you think. I think these guys think they can play the long game, but I really don't think that they have that much time. This game just doesn't have that kind of reputation. It's not like a No Man's Sky where millions and millions and millions of people bought that game. Everybody in the world was looking forward to it. Then it just didn't deliver. And then those guys went back and they cooked and they just ignored all the noise and put out a really good game later. You're not going to see that same recovery because this game just doesn't have that same reputation. The art theft made sure of that. I'll tell you that right now.
Like I said earlier, I don't think the art theft was really that big of a deal. Like, it's wrong. It was morally and objectively wrong, but that is not enough for. I don't think the vast majority of people actually even knew about that. That's a very niche sort of story.
I don't think Sony had any idea what they were getting into when they bought Bungie. I don't think that they did proper market research. I think that's pretty obvious when you look to see how much they actually paid for the company per developer and also how much the company was actually.
I need to address this, though. E33 wasn't a risk. Or if it is a risk, that says even more about the time that we live in, about the state the industry is in. E33 would have just been a normal fucking game 15 years ago. It would have been a game that a lot of people played, a lot of people liked, and then moved on to something else because that was industry standard. The idea that E33 was a quote-unquote risk is baffling to me because while as amazing as it is, that was just normal. Like, turn-based combat at the same turn-based combat at the time was kind of risky for a home console game. Not really. We've got so many turn-based games even nowadays. People want to say turn-based is dead. Turn-based isn't dead. We've got so many turn-based games, even in the modern era, that are beloved. Fucking Persona 5 has been re-released like 8 different times because people just keep buying it over and over. I mean, I'm gonna be real. It's E33 should just be what is baseline normal.
Making, but I think that this is a really good lesson for the rest of the industry, and that's that you can try to buy your way into our lives, but it's not going to work. You can try to buy market share, you can try to buy your way into some of these genres, but if you don't understand the people on the other side of the screen, if you don't understand what's going on with that company, all you're going to do is just pay a premium on failing in public. That's all you're going to get. If Sony had seen how often, how frequently Bungie was disappointing their audience, how many times they had pissed them off, how many times they had taken things from them, how many times they had failed outside of the crazy peaks that they had seen with some of their dedicated expansions, I think that they probably would have maybe second-guessed this purchase in some way. They should have.
I don't think so.
This is the cost of not making sure that you're paying attention to see what the reputation actually is with the audience. What are players actually talking about? The people that are complaining online, especially when it comes to games like this, they're not in the minority. And I think it shows as much when you see how
they know that this is in the minority. Here's the thing that people don't want to acknowledge. Sony, Ubisoft, all these garbage fucking companies, they know that we are not the minority. That's what they hate the most. That's why they continue to do this. This is why they continue failure after failure. Eventually, they are trying to weed us out so they can bring in this new audience of fake gamers that will buy this slop. Don't seed the ground.
How many copies of this game sold? Anyway. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did enjoy the video, like the video, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment down below, follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter. I have new merch that's coming. I'm going to do an official announcement for it. Dude, it is so sick. I'm so excited for it. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe. Bye.
Yeah, dope video. Dope. I disagree with some of his points, but at the end of the day, the general idea of what he's saying is correct. Sony brought this on themselves. Bungie brought them on themselves. This could have been such an easy W, which is make the game that people want from the fucking beginning. Or beyond that, if you're Sony, don't fucking buy Bungie. And if you're gonna buy Bungie, you should really, really probably try to satiate the people that are actually already your customer base, as small as that might be. But that's enough about that. I just really wanted to rag on Sony. It wasn't anything new or breaking. In fact, we've been doing it for a couple days now. But I hate that company so goddamn much. I hate that company because they used to be one of my favorites, man. They back when Insomniac and Naughty Dog and whatnot were just breaking out banger after banger in the PS2 era. To see how far things fallen, I will talk shit on Sony any chance I can get. We're going to talk about Leaflit. Gamergate is back. And I love Leaflit, guys. I do. She's my girl, but she is so fucking wrong. At least based on the title, she's fucking wrong. Gamergate isn't back because Mixtape is not Gamergate 3. Now, I don't know if Mintus Wave is going to try and make the argument that it is. Obviously, his thumbnails is Gamergate 3, but we're all YouTubers. We know how the game is played. You say wild, ridiculous shit in your thumbnails and your titles to try and hype it up and get the clicks. I hope neither Mintus nor Leaf actually think that Mixtape is Gamergate 3. It's going to be a controversy for a month, tops, and then move on. Gamergate, the OG one in 2014, for those that were there, like your boy here, was a cultural event. When it's being covered on Fox News, when Milo Yiannopoulos is going on Fox News talking about it, that is cultural. That is insane. Gamergate 2.0, that was a huge deal. And again, they were natural movements, natural monikers. Hopefully this is just clickbaity stuff, and that because Leaf is smarter than this. I know she cannot think Gamergate is back. Let's go.
Game journalists are not gamers.
All right, off to a good start. Okay, to be fair, we are all of 3 seconds in. She's off to a good start.
And Mixtape is more evidence of this fact. Mentis Wave, Gamergate 3.
Hey, internets. So it appears that Gamergate is trending yet again, alongside more proof of the fact that game journalists.
Except it wasn't. Like, it trended for all of like a day when everybody was throwing a fit about Mixtape, and then it moved on. That's how you know it's not actually Gamergate 3, because when Gamergate 2 happened, it was trending for like 3 months. When's the last time you could think of a pop culture event so significant that it trended on X, on the internet, for over 3, maybe even closer to 6 months straight? With the internet, the news cycle is immediate. Stories are dead in 48 hours, maybe a week if you're lucky. That's how you know this ain't Gamergate 3.
Journalists aren't really gamers, but rather they can be more or less described as an interconnected, corrupt group of ideologues who have taken over the industry and then use their platform to basically spread propaganda, mostly neo-Marxist propaganda. To those of us who have researched this topic and looked into the industry at large, this is an obvious fact. But to many people, it still remains elusive. And so it's nice to have...
I don't think it remains elusive. I'll be real. When you see the shuttering of studios, when you see the massive layoffs, when you see that this is only affecting mostly Western games, or the Eastern games it's affecting have large ties to the West, like Square Enix, like Konami. No, I think we're finally getting to the point that it's not elusive. Most people might not have the terminology to be like, oh, this game is neo-Marxist bullshit. But even if they don't have that terminology, they're not buying the shit. The games aren't making money. The ones that are things like Pragmata, which has this very like wholesome idea to it. That, yeah, again, Capcom is another disgusting, awful, gross, woke company. But at the end of the day, they're at least putting out finished, functioning games that people, much to my chagrin, are enjoying. So,
have yet another piece of pretty strong evidence to point out the fact that, again, game journalists are not gamers. And this all really comes down to the drama surrounding the game that recently got released, Mixtape, and how the game is just kind of a stereo.
So if you're just getting here, you don't know anything about Mixtape. Mixtape was this game that came out, has very, very little gameplay, and everybody sucked it off. All
right, so I'm going to roll this back and give what she has to say, but I want to address this comment. I still argue Gamergate 2, 3, or whatever. It's still just the original Gamergate. The industry is more incestuous than ever. Here's why you're wrong. And I was saying this near the beginning of the stream when someone else said the same thing. No. Gamergate and Gamergate 2.0 were about completely different things. Completely different things. The original Gamergate was about the ethics in journalism, the rise of Aeneas Sarkeesian, Zoe Quinn, things like that. And gamers lost. Gamers lost. Now, because of that loss from Gamergate 1, we did see the industry grow more incestuous and more incestuous. I agree with that. However, Gamergate 2.0 was about something completely different. It was about the rise of these consultation companies and the forced agenda within the games themselves. So the first Gamergate was about the way games were reported on. Again, just the ethics and journalism aspect. The second Gamergate was actually about the development of the products. So yes, there's obviously going to be crossover. That's why it's called, Gamergate 2, but it really isn't the same. It's a sequel thing. And the overall issue is the neo-Marxism, is the left-wing, communist political discourse, all of that. I agree, they are rooted in the same issue, but they are two distinctly different things.
All of the classic video games journalist outlets, they sucked this game off so hard. That's what happened. Yeah, and it has barely any gameplay. Like, there's even parts where Asmund played it and he didn't even do anything and he beat the level.
Typical
he literally wasn't even holding his controller.
AstroTurfed woke schlop. Nearly every game journal publication just suddenly randomly gave this game a 10 out of 10. It started out with overwhelmingly positive reviews on Steam, which of course is a thing that can happen legitimately, but many people noticed that this was not legitimate at all.
But it's not a thing that happens legitimately. I cannot think of the last game that legitimately got scores above and beyond like Mixtape did. Like, maybe Breath of the Wild. Even Expedition 33 didn't get this sort of love. Crimson Desert didn't get this sort of love. Baldur's Gate had detractors. Like, every massive just bastion of, you know what? No, Elden Ring had plenty of detractors as well. I was going to say maybe Elden Ring, but no. I don't think any game has gotten this level of mainstream journalist accolades since probably Breath of the Wild's naturally. Every single time, and Breath of the Wild was like 2017 or something. So every single time since then, it's been shown to be AstroTurfed bullshit. Because like we know good goddamn well that like Last of Us 2, that was AstroTurfed. There was nothing legitimate about that.
Well, there's no smoking gun. To make a long story of the drama short, there's some pretty strong evidence to suggest that this is fake that many people have already gone into, so I won't really go too much into that. What I will point out instead are the things I believe most people are missing with this, which is that even if all of these reviews for Mixtape were in fact entirely genuine and truly coming from these journalists as their actual real opinion, and so despite the evidence of billionaire backing and Nepo baby devs pretending to be indie devs, let's just pretend that all of these journalist reviews are entirely real, that the journos actually sincerely believe it is a 10 out of 10 game. Because
let's roll this. Let's roll with what he's saying. That would be worse. And I think that's probably the argument he's going to make here, is that the industry is in one of two places. The journalists, the industry of games journalism, that is. Either A, we got these shills afoot for culture war purposes, which is the thing that's true. We know that's what's happening. Or B, this is how they actually feel. And if that's the case, then the games industry is so much more cooked than we even thought. Because you've got people who are, like Leaflit said at the very beginning, fake gamers who don't play games, dictating the entire future of mainstream gaming. Now, not indie gaming, but because of that, you're going to have more fake indies pop up. You're going to have more games that are backed by multi-billion-dollar corporations pretending to be indie because they see the rejection of the mainstream, of the AAA from the players, and so they will need to trick you into getting it because they think it's... And yes, it probably is a combo of both, absolutely. But anyway, they're going to try and need to trick gamers into buying their products by going the indie route.
I would argue that if they really do believe this, then it is actually just as, if not more, delegitimizing to the game journalist industry than if they were bribed to give all these positive reviews. Because I decided to do the thing. I decided to actually, well, sort of play
Hey, look at that. Lady Decade, shout out.
the game to see what all the fuss was about and to see if this was a something burger or a nothing burger that I could just ignore. Because again, sometimes culture war things matter and sometimes it's just stupid.
They are not bought. Oh, wrong one. They are not bought and paid for positive reviews. I mean, I'm sure that there's some are. Fair enough. I'm sure there's some are. But here's the dealio. I don't think most are. Now, I do think the positivity around it is fake, but that's not the same as bought and paid for. When something is bought and paid for, you are, it's exactly what it says. You are being paid to say something that you do or don't believe in. I think these fuckers, these loser-ass piece of shit journalists, they aren't paid to do this at all. They're doing it for the love of the game, baby. They are ruining the culture for the love of the game. They want to see people like me and people like you guys in chat there lose what we love. We already lost our superhero movies. We already lost our comic books in general. We already lost Dungeons and Dragons. We're in the process of losing Warhammer 40K. To some people, Warhammer 40K is already lost. We're in the process of losing anime. They need to take it all. They need to burn it all down to rebuild it in their image. So no, I don't think it's bought and paid for reviews. I think that they are doing this for the love of the fucking game.
Should I play it, chat? Chat, should I play the game? What do you
That's
think?
what I mean. Yeah, sheer spite.
Do I play it? No, fuck it. Nothing to play? Damn. It's unfortunate.
Now would probably be a good time though to do some self-shillery, some self-promotion. I will be hanging out with Mama Akko tonight while Mama Akko plays the mixtape for the first time. Akko has invited me to commentate on the game, which frankly I said, and here's my direct quote to Mama Akko. That sounds fucking terrible. I'm in. What time? So I'll be on Mama Akko's show tonight while he plays through it, and it's going to be a show. Let me tell you. It'll actually be my first time seeing anything beyond clips of the game. By the way.
This is one of the times that it turned out it mattered. Now, fortunately for me, I didn't actually have to physically buy the game or play it myself because Mixtape is really just a story. It is more like an interactive movie than a real game, which by itself, that doesn't automatically make it a bad game. I mean, there's plenty of visual novels.
No, that does make it a bad game by definition of what game is. It just might not make it a bad narrative experience.
And story-based games out there. Tons of RPG games are just story-driven. But when I watched this game, basically just by watching somebody else stream it, I noticed a lot of problems that stood out. Here's just a quick mini review. The problem with the quote-unquote game is that it's a story-based game with a very predictable and very generic story. But the thing that shows the problem with game journalists is how it's supposed to be a nostalgia-baked story, but it doesn't actually do that if you're a gamer. And I wouldn't even say it's that bad, as in it horrible 1 or 2 out of 10 bad. It's more like this game story is a solid 4 out of 10 or a forgettable D+ experience. Specifically, the plot is
all games are story driven in some sort or not. I vehemently disagree with this. I mean, like if you talk about something like carnival games on the Wii, yeah, that wasn't story driven. That's just a collection of mini games. Wii Sports wasn't story driven. Like, yes, you're going to have, Mario has a light story, and you're not going to compare the story of Mario to the story of something like, Resident Evil. We'll just use Resident Evil as an example. But no, there are games that literally do not have any story at all. It is just gameplay.
extremely midwit coded. It panders to the type of normie that doesn't want to accept the fact that they are a normie, where they seem to think that listening to pseudo-alternative music is enough to qualify them as an intellectual. A key LDR of the plot is that you have this group of teenage friends who are going to be attending a party, and they need to find booze for the party, and as they're looking for booze, they run into various things that either trigger a cutscene or trigger a minigame, with a story basically being a generic coming-of-age story. And there's a few huge problems that stand out for this. The first is that the minigames are apparently completely unlosable. Nothing you actually do can result in a failed score. The person I watched streaming this noted this quite often.
You know why? It's because losing feels bad.
I don't even know if she's wrong about that. Like, the idea... So I'm of two schools of thought on this. I'm going to try and parse through now, because I didn't touch on this in my video about Mixtape, because my video about Mixtape was purely about the behind-the-scenes financials of how this game got made. So part of me thinks Leaflit's exactly correct. It literally is as simple as these commie fucks think that, oh, losing feels bad, so we can't have it in the game. The other part of me thinks that they are so pretentious. It's not even about their feelings about losing. It's just they are so pretentious that, oh, any ability to lose will interrupt the story that I want to tell, this coming of age story that needs to be told. If you can lose, and that might make the player like not engage with the story, because they'll be focusing so much on playing the game. Like, it could go either way.
It feels so bad to lose. I don't want to lose the game. It hurt my feeling.
It's interactable, but nothing you actually do does anything. There's no way to actually fail the mission, even though one of these scenes is a major platforming section. But it is a platforming section that is unlosable. If the character fails to dodge a car, for example, they'll just kind of slide over the car instead. In other words, game journalist difficulty is the default and only difficulty mode. No need to actually be any good at the game. And that's not even the biggest problem. Another issue is how the story is effectively what I would call an example of woke washing. Because I happen to be one of the people who was born in the 80s, and I came of age in the 90s. So you would think that a nostalgia bait game
I don't know what that's like.
based in the mid-90s.
She had to be being sarcastic there, right? When she said she doesn't know what that's like. Or is Leaflit close to my age? Was she born in the 90s? I don't actually know how old Leaflit is. I've got an idea, but I don't know for sure.
90s, as well as the fact that the area that the game takes place is very similar to the area that I grew up in. I would have thought that this game would have given me a fix for nostalgia, but it didn't. It completely failed, because all of the dialogue in the game and everything the characters go through is heavily politically correctified, because these kids do not talk.
Leaflit was born in 98. I did not realize she was that much younger than me. I did not realize Leaflit was that much younger than me. Okay, fair enough.
Or act like 90s kids. Rather, they
Leaflit's younger than my younger sister. Damn.
Talk like a heavily Disney-fied version of them, where nearly all of the very much not politically correct banter that you would normally talk like in the 90s has been completely removed. And then, of course, they top it off with the usual DEI representation characters. And it is all, again, very mid-wit coded. None of the characters are likable. Rather, the story remind me specifically of the painfully average kids.
They always have this problem whenever they try to make these games. They make the characters completely unlikable. Like, they're just...
Yes, but if you listen to the game journalists, if you're listening to the game journalists, that's the point. They're supposed to be unlikable. All teenagers are unlikable, so they're supposed to be unlikable. Bitch. Even like Darth Vader is fucking likable. He's evil. There's black and white, and Darth Vader's evil. Okay, until the very end when he's not. But the point is, it doesn't make him unlike. You can have characters be like villainous, be bad guys and whatnot, and they can still be likable. This whole, oh, they're supposed to be unlikable is fucking retarded.
It's like incapable of making characters that anybody cares about. Like this happened with Dustborn, where just all like you wanted the characters to lose in Dustborn because they were so bad.
Who would spend their days getting high and listening to music and then getting high again and then listening to more music again, and round that goes. That's pretty much their entire life. Those are the kinds
Hold on, guys. I don't even remember that being like a thing. Like to that level. Was that real? AO chat, is this real? Just in certain locations?
Don't mix up understandable with likable. Darth Vader is unlikable, vile assholes, but his crash out is no. I'm using when I say likable, what I mean is we like his character. He is a likable character. We like seeing Darth Vader on screen. We like buying Darth Vader merch. We like the interactions with Darth Vader and other characters. Likable. You're thinking I mean when I say likable that I morally agree with him. No, a character can be likable without being something a character you morally agree with. I'm not talking about morally agreeable.
Kids I directly made an effort to avoid back then, and honestly still disassociate myself from today, because they're just boring people. They just kind of exist in a state of constant vibes and having no real thoughts of their own, and honestly they don't really ever grow out of that from what I've seen. A lot of them tend to just kind of stay that way as adults. But more importantly, and the big issue here, is that they're not gamers, because that's the big thing missing from this supposed nostalgia game. It's a game about 90s nostalgia that includes no 90s gaming. Yes, that's right. That's the thing I noticed when watching this thing. As you go through these characters' rooms and you look around, there's no gaming. It's all just generic band groupie schlop stuff. And that's a really key issue here. Yep. A nostalgia game aimed at gamers should have some gaming nostalgia to it, versus expecting to see a scene where you walk up to a Sega Genesis.
Well, I mean, it's possible. I mean, just trying to be fair here. It's possible that did they say it was a nostalgia game for gamers? I mean, I guess who else would the target audience be? I suppose.
There you go. Yeah, like if this was not geared at gamers, then it should have been a movie or a miniseries or an animation, which I mean, get it fucking is, but you get my point. If you're gonna make a nostalgia game for gamers, You're going to do something like Mullet Mad Jack. Mullet Mad Jack, well, yes, it's basically a roguelite in terms of its mechanics and whatnot. It is absolutely nostalgia bait for 90s anime fans that also grew up playing Duke Nukem, right? Like, here, give me one moment here. People might not have played it. By the way, I highly recommend this game. It's awesome. I bring it up all the fucking time. Here we go. Mullet Mad Jack gameplay. Yo, this is your upgrade system, level to level. Look at that. These aesthetics, all 80s and vaporwave.
It's better not to be the smartest person in the room.
That is nostalgia for gamers. You've got the retro, the 80s and 90s synthwave, vaporwave look to it. You got the Duke Nukem one-liners, the boomer shooter mechanics. By the way, yeah, the game is awesome. I highly, highly recommend Mullet Mad Jack. But the point is, why? Because gaming is an interactive medium. So who is it that you're going to try and cater to? The people that buy shit to play in that interactive medium. If there's no interaction, which there isn't, then it's not a fucking game. Then it's not made for gamers. Like you can't even make the argument that this is made for people that like visual novels, because visual novels don't really cater to gamers as much as they cater to manga fans. Visual novels cater to manga fans that want some semblance of choice, basically a choose your own adventure in the style of manga. This game doesn't even do that. It doesn't have multiple endings. It doesn't have decisions that can be made that alter the story. So, like, you can't even draw that equation.
But wait, maybe that's the problem. Maybe okay. I guess it's the point.
No, General Kawasaki, he's not. Homelander is terribly written trash. The reason we like Homelander right now is we like him ironically. Like, we like Homelander. Basically, if we were not in this DEI-infested woke shitstorm of a world that we're in right now, nobody would like Homelander. He would not, because he's not a particularly well-written character. We like him ironically. We like him because it pisses off all the right people to like him. So he's actually a terrible example of a likable villain.
That's the point Mentis is trying to make, is that it's normies making a game for normies, but then it's gamers that play games. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck?
Well, gamers can be normies too. Let's be real. The vast majority of gamers are normies now. Like gaming is I say this all the time, and people don't fucking understand it. So sorry, Leaf, you're completely wrong here. Gaming is the largest entertainment industry in the world. Gaming as an industry dwarfs movies and music combined in terms of the revenue it generates. More than Hollywood and mainstream music combined, gaming still generates more revenue. You don't get to be the number one entertainment industry in the world if the vast majority of your audience aren't normies. But here's the deal. Normies can still play games. Normies, prop up Call of Duty. They might not go fucking hard in the paint on games like, for example, Mullet Mad Jack. They might not seek out indie games. They might not, let's take Call of Duty, which is a very normie-friendly game. They might not play 8 hours of sweaty Call of Duty a day. They might play it for a couple hours after work a couple times a week. They're normies, but they're at least still playing a real fucking game, or at least a real game comparatively to something like Mixtape. I don't know, Leon, I think it might be Anthony Starr's portrayal of Homelander. Okay, but at that point, you're talking about the actor being likable, not the character. It is not because Hollywood went woke and made shit movies. It used to be the other way around. Well, no. Even if Hollywood hadn't gone woke, gaming would still be the dominant, financial entertainment industry, because it's so much more accessible. There's so much more variety. You've got it theoretically actually takes less money to make video games than it does movies. So you've got a lower barrier to entry in terms of cost versus return analysis. Like the enshittification of Hollywood movies. Now that helped widen the gap, absolutely. But even if that hadn't happened, video games would still exponentially beat movies, would beat Hollywood.
Yeah, what the hell?
Or something, or at least an NES or an Atari or a Super Nintendo, and talk about games and reminiscent about the old games, you'd think you'd want to include that. That is, unless, of course, your target audience for this nostalgia is not for gamers. Like, for example, one of my best memories from that time is playing GoldenEye with my friends. Or if not with friends, playing Shinobi 3.
Fucking knows, man. That was the shit right there, man.
Yeah, at 2 a.m. on a...
All right, now, she's not young. Yeah, whoever said 96 or whatever earlier, or 98, you're wrong. She would not have been playing GoldenEye if she was born in 98.
Friday night. That's the kind of time that you had if you were an actual gamer from those days.
Oh, yeah.
And the weirdest part is they even seem to tease it. These seem to be upper middle class kids in Northern California. And so they have things like TVs and computers in their own room, and yet attached to this classic CRT TV.
Yeah, GoldenEye was 96 or 97, correct. So if she was born in 98, she would likely not have nostalgia. So I think Leaflit's a little bit older than me, if I'm being real. I think Leaflit was born in like 90 or something, but I could be wrong.
He is no games. Where are the games? There's no games. Error 404, gaming nostalgia not.
Should gaming become mainstream? Yes and no. Things becoming mainstream aren't inherently bad. Things becoming mainstream in the current zeitgeist, where we have basically entered Apex Yuri Bezmenov warning, that is bad. Let's say that we were in a different political climate. Let's say that we in 2014 through 2026 were in the same social and political climate as we were in, say, 96 through 2008. No problem with gaming becoming mainstream. No problem whatsoever. Because we would not be seeing the enshittification that we're seeing now. So the problem is that gaming became mainstream in a post-2012 world.
Found. Because, of course, this nostalgia story is not for gamers. Rather, it's a nostalgia story aimed at the upper middle class normie who eventually goes to college on their parents' dime, then go get...
Yup, and then
Appreciate you.
Oh my god. Guys, hey, what's up, Swinka? Guys, is nerddom not the most colonized fucking culture on this planet?
It is, and I have a term for it. We call them hot topic nerds around here. We call them hot topic nerds. These are the dumb bitches that were on the cheer squad in high school and made fun of you for reading comic books, and then the MCU takes off with Tony Stark and Iron Man shit in 2008. Next thing you know, these same dumb bimbos that were wearing like spaghetti straps and halter tops and shopping at Aeropostale and American Eagle are now going to Hot Topic to buy their cool nerd merch. Yeah, the colonization of nerd culture. We call them hot topic nerds around here.
I swear to you, these people keep trying to they always take over our shit. We're like so oppressed, man. Gamers are the most oppressed people.
A liberal arts degree, and then get indoctrinated into far left progressive politics. And then
gamers and white men, which have a crossover.
And nerds, the most oppressed people. They take over our Dungeons and Dragons, our
gaming being mainstream is not necessarily bad. It's just the fact that normies drink the Kool-Aid and don't bother seeking answers, critically thinking about the company's doing. Bingo, bango, bongo. Sevi said succinctly. Correct.
Sci-fi, Star Wars, Star Trek. They take all of our shit away from us, man. It's unreal.
Land a job as a game journalist. Even though they never were a gamer, never will be a gamer, but they convince themselves that because...
I thought this was like a female Frieza.
Hello, monkeys. That's the second time this stream I've gotten to do a Frieza, fucking Frieza impression, and I'm kind of digging it.
Probably just as racist, honestly.
because they prescribe to the correct ideology, that they therefore know better about games than gamers. And so that's really what this mixtape drama, what we're really seeing here under the hood. Even if we were to take all of the good reviews in good faith and pretend like it's not astroturfed, then it still shows that game journalists are the types of people who honestly don't really enjoy video games. Which then brings up the question, is it astroturfing, or is it just journos legit?
No, journalists are not activists by nature. Now, if you want to say modern day journalists are, I would by and large agree with you. But by nature implies inherently, and that's not true. Because I mean, if you were reading Game Informer in fucking 2007 and just wanted to learn about what Resident Evil 5 was going to be like, sorry, there was no agenda there. Like there was the media that tried to prop up. And the reason I use Resident Evil 5 is because there was that media sensation back then about whether or not the game was racist. Bro, Game Informer didn't talk about that. Fucking PSN, PlayStation Magazine didn't talk about that. Like GameFAQs didn't. That was all sensationalized bullshit by mainstream media. I was part of the number one largest Resident Evil forum of all, like on the internet at the time when that drama was going down. Everybody on that forum site thought it was retarded. So games journalism, using 2007, 2008 as an example, wasn't like this. So you can't say that journalism is inherently activist based.
Legitimately having terrible tastes as a result of them, again, not really being gamers. And the answer, honestly, is probably just a little bit of both. There's a lot of things that people have uncovered about this game and its backing that is very obviously fishy. Or as I pointed out on X, you do not need to be a conspiracy theorist to see something is wrong with these initial overwhelmingly positive Steam reviews for Woke Schlop. Again, Mixtape just being the latest iteration of it. Access journalism makes it very easy for them to pull off these kind of reviews. And of course, there's a very strong incentive for them to do this. Not just...
Well, even this isn't true. Well, okay, this is sort of true. So journos are activists. There's a quote from one of the 1800s saying they aren't allowed to have their minds even back then. They report what they're paid to report. So I don't know about all the 1800s, but I will say that during the Lincoln presidency, he pretty much forcibly by law put the kibosh on journalists being allowed to do independent reporting. Threatening them with jail. I think he even did jail. There were a few journalists jailed under Abe Lincoln's presidency. But yeah, we have had brilliant bits of investigative journalism that aren't activist based. And you are always going to have a corporate machine basically creating whatever narrative is going to make money. But that doesn't mean that the job itself is inherently activist based. Now, you could say that the industry is geared towards that for financial reasons. Even in the 1900s, they were activists. I'm not saying they never were. I don't live in some fantasy world where people are like, you remember the good old days of Walter Cronkite and we just got the new... No, Walter Cronkite was a fucking political hack back then. He was reporting on what he was paid to report on. I'm not that fucking stupid. What I'm saying is his statement was that they are inherently activists. That is just factually incorrect. Like what the idea, what denotes journalism definitionally is just reporting on news. It's just preparing news to be broadcast or shared, reported on via newspaper, television, radio, internet, the whole nine. So anybody doing that job, which anyone can do that job, technically what's happening right now, this live stream is technically journalism by definition. So no, that doesn't mean activist. Now, you can say there's an industry lean towards it, and I would agree with that by and large. But the idea that he said is inherently activist-based is wrong, because that's an incorrect usage of inherently.
Because faking reviews for a game can get more sales for the game, but also because of the same issue I talked about previously in my long-form video on the Sweet Baby incident and Gamergate 2, which is that the game industry in the West, as well as game journalists for quite some time now, has been completely taken over by people who subscribe to a neo-Marxist progressive ideology.
Not just gaming. This is also anime.
I'm an activist, though. You're pushing for being based and not woke. Oh, I'm under no delusion that I'm an activist. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm just saying it's not inherently the case. Yeah, I am absolutely pushing an agenda. I'm pushing an agenda of aggressive misogyny, aggressive hatred towards the government, aggressive burning down the fucking system, rebuilding it. I'm under no delusion that I am doing activism. I'm just saying that journalism is not inherently activism, especially it's not inherently left-wing activism, which is what was implied in the post that started this discussion.
This is also Dungeons and Dragons, again, sci-fi. Like I said, literally everything. Everything that I loved as a kid has been colonized by these people. And like, I remember being a kid and being called a fuck.
All right, so no, here's the deal. I'm going to pull up the definition of journalism right now. Journalism definition. Journalism is the activity of gathering, assessing, creating, and presenting news and information to the public. That is the definition of journalism. So nothing about that definition is inherently activist-based. Nothing about it whatsoever. Now, again, individuals, you can even say a majority of individuals, might be doing that, but that does not make the definition inherently activism-based. Has the definition been redefined yet, or is this an old one? I don't believe in that whole idea of redefining fucking definitions, and like, because if we go down that rabbit hole and we accept that that's a real fucking thing, then the modern definition of man and woman not mattering, because a man can be a woman or it could be a fucking cat or all we know, would have to also be accepted. So I reject that idea.
Nerd, because I was into these things, and you know, all the quote unquote cool people being like, "Oh, you're a fucking nerd, right?" And now they want a piece of my shit.
There we go. Yeah, Matt Stanford said it best. They're using journalism to push activism. Journalism by itself is not activism. Correct. Yeah, illegals are in fact, call them criminal aliens, because I like it. It sounds cool. Criminal aliens.
It's like, now you want to come back to me now that we're older, and you want to take my shit over. What is this? Who's the colonizers here? Am I wrong? Where's the lie?
And that this takeover isn't really a natural product of the free market, but rather is due to a complex web of corruption bred by a relationship with the corporate media and the state that is ultimately designed to make sure that some very unpleasant people remain in charge, with woke progressives just being another form of useful idiots that they use to that end. Because, of course, their solution to everything is effectively just that the government is corrupt, and the solution is more government, and that if we just taxed the right people, we could have free stuff. And the whole DEI ideology that gets pushed in the media, it's all just another arm of the structure of the corrupt system.
So I get the joke you're going for, but usually don't dishonor extraterrestrials like that. To be fair, the term alien existed before extraterrestrial, so really, yeah, extraterrestrials are just a type of alien. Alien is just somebody who is foreign to your land. So I'm not dishonoring extraterrestrials, although they would be aliens. Although I would rather take those kind of aliens than the dirty brown ones. Absolutely. I would much rather like fucking at this point I will take a xenomorphs over dirty brown people coming in and stealing the gerbs.
And as for what's specifically going on here with Mixtape, well, it's really just the same thing as the original Gamergate, just targeting a more specific area of the games industry. Because the original Gamergate can be summarized as neo-Marxists trying to take over the gaming industry by injecting itself entirely into games journalism. Thus,
you want to know the problem? Well, it's not really a problem, I think. I mean, I think it's a good thing too, but nerds. And again, this is just my experience. You know, like, let me know if
hey, thanks for the follow, Koibold.
I'm wrong or if I'm right. You know, in the chat, in the comments. But nerds are very, very excited to share our culture with other people. Like, we love it. Like, if anybody's like, oh, like, I'm really actually like D&D seems kind of cool. We're like, oh yeah, you want to check out D&D? Oh my god, you let me know. I will show you. I will DM for you. Right.
Nerds are like that, much to the detriment of... So here's the thing. She is correct. This is how we act. Nerds are bad at moderation. Nerds are terrible at moderation, self-moderation, moderation of others. Like, there's the phrase, all things in moderation, including moderation itself. And I find that to be an incredibly important term. I think that that's a very important way to live life. Shout out Ben for the sub. Sharing was our biggest sin. Well, it's because sharing is communist. So yes, communism is inherently sinful. But yes, no, like it's more that we are bad at moderating, and we're bad at moderation. Like, we want to share everything with everyone because in all reality, yeah, it's a nice thought, but we should really be more selective. We should be quite a bit more selective about who we share with. Don't alt fans already do that, Leon? Albeit we may look at it one way more than I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I've never seen a football fan be like, yo, you're not in the NFL? Bro, you got to come over, check it out. We're going to watch some games, get some jerseys. I'm going to show you all my NFL trading cards. We're going to go through, we're going to learn the history. You will know Brett Favre. You will know the history. Like, the first Super Bowl, Kansas City Chiefs versus Green Bay Packers. Like, I'm not saying that's never happened. That's not how fucking football fans are, but I've never seen a football fan do that. Nerds are, you know, like traditional geeky hobby sort of nerds are a lot more overzealous. Yo, what up, box office brawler? How you doing, homie? I suppose music fans might be closer then. Well, music fans are more in line with nerds, what we traditionally think of as nerds, than like sports fans. For example, if you listen to Steven Tyler did an interview one time. Steven Tyler, lead singer of Aerosmith, did an interview one time talking about how absolutely insane it was to be the halftime event of the Super Bowl. And the reason was because when he was growing up, the music nerds and like the sports folk, they didn't mix. That was some oil and water shit. So seeing how the culture has grown so much to where you now have these massive musical events at said sports festivals was actually crazy to him. So music nerds have a lot more in common with what you think of as your traditional nerdy nerds, people who like Dungeons and Dragons and whatnot, because it's a very similar mentality. Like, if you like Dungeons and Dragons, you're probably into math. You're probably into min-maxing. If you play, I'm talking like classic OG D&D, not this modern day 5th edition faggot ass shit. If you're into classic D&D, then you probably have a very mathematically oriented mind. Well, if you're into music, same thing. That might not mean you want to do like multiplication tables and fractions and shit, but music is just math. That's what it is. Music is just math that makes sound. So you're going to have someone whose brain chemistry is probably far more similar to the D&D fan than the person that wants to tackle the guy to get the ball.
Like, we really want to share things that we're really passionate about. And then it's like they take it and then they try to make it into like in their own image. And it's no longer what we grew up with. No longer what it was about.
Ensuring that games were largely being given positive reviews based more so on whether or not those games were pushing the correct ideology, aka the neo-Marxist ideology, rather than reviewing them for, actual gameplay, the things that gamers care about. And one of the things that the establishment failed at when it came to the original Gamergate is that, one, gamers didn't really like it, thus allowing boycotts to actually work, but two, it really only hit the AAA game dev scene. Indie devs have had some wokeness in them too, but only when the developer themselves is an actual true believer. But
so yes and no. If an indie game has wokeness in it, A, it's going to fly under the radar. B, it really doesn't matter, because the whole idea of the problem with wokeness, is that it is a forced cultural shift. It is inherently agenda-based. Now, if an indie dev want to put a fucking tranny in a video game or something, now I'm not going to buy it. I don't like it. I don't want it. But at the end of the day, at least you know that's authentically their worldview. It's what they want. It's what they want to see. And therefore, like I said, the true hand of the market, the free hand of the market, just it decides. If there's an indie game that comes out and a lot of people are interested in it, and then it turns out there's some fucking troons and people are like, never mind, I'm not buying it. Free hand of the market decides. But that was gamers making the decision. And if it's an indie game, often it's the developers doing what they want to do. Also, there wasn't a large media backing for indie games. So you've got the journalists that are bowing and kowtowing to the AAA scene. That's why Gamergate was a failure from the gamers' perspective. That's why the big media corporations and whatnot won out, is because they were able to take advantage of this journalistic culture, and basically they were able to work hand in hand with pushing this narrative artificially. It's the artificiality of wokeness that is, I mean, all of it's bad, but I would say the artificiality is what made people like the most angry. That's why the original Gamergate was about ethics in journalism.
Indie dev scene, due to the nature of it being indie, also has plenty of anti-woke developers, like those behind the Great Rebellion. And so Mixtape seems to me like an attempt to remedy this past mistake. What the corporate journoids seem to be doing now may very well just be an attempt by the establishment to take over the indie dev games.
It's not an attempt. It is verifiably true. Mintus, you gotta watch my video. I break it all down.
Scene by falsely labeling games with large amounts of establishment funding behind them as quote-unquote indie, then having game journals give it a bunch of heavily inflated reviews, which allows them to then ensure that the latest woke schlop propaganda title, whatever it may be, is always at the top of the indie game charts as well, and wins Indie Game of the Year purely by brute force of establishment astroturfing. That's what appears to be really happening here. Pretty disgusting and petty, to be honest.
Nothing's
it's almost
real,
as if
man.
the AAA game devs and corporate journos got mad that the indie game dev scene is starting to outperform the schlop that they have been pushing for the past 20 years. And so this just seems to be their new strategy. Falsely label their schlop propaganda title as indie, and then make sure it's given widespread praise. However, the problem though with their tactic is that people have already kind of caught on to it, and thus the same strategies that were effective in Gamergate can be used against this nonsense. For one, just don't buy their game.
It can be used and can be used more effectively. Gamergate, when initially happened, was niche, like, because gaming at the time comparatively was still niche. Now, like I said, Gamergate was a cultural phenomenon. It was a breaking moment. Like I said, when you got Milo Yiannopoulos covering it, going on Fox News, there's documentaries being made about Gamergate. It still comes up now. I mean, we're talking about Gamergate now, 12 years later. But the people fighting against that, the woke ideologies. Woke wasn't even a term yet. Woke wasn't even a term yet, at least, colloquially how it's used now, when Gamergate originally happened. People become far more exposed to it over the years that you can actually adequately fight back now. We couldn't back then. Back then, there was no other recourse. Yeah, you could make YouTube videos. You could bitch about it on the forum sites. You could talk about it online and whatnot. But there was no other recourse. Also, back then, it was a very different social climate. You had to really choose how you went about it very carefully because literal jobs were at stake. Like, you could lose your job for saying some of this stuff. That really doesn't exist now. People, by and large, aren't getting fired now for being like, fuck you, tranny, on Twitter.
The Gatekeeper's Pledge. Refuse to buy propaganda schlop. It's really that simple. And also just spread the word and be aware of the fact that corporate...
No, Lessus. Woke did not originally mean you believe in conspiracy theories. Woke was a term that originated in the Black American communities that meant being aware of the government, basically of the government and the systemic operations being against you. Being aware to how the government runs society. So it's not necessarily conspiracy theories. It's more about the systemic oppression that was top down from the government, which did in fact exist in American government policies in the 60s. So that's where woke actually originated from.
Journalists for the game industry should rightfully be seen as...
Here's the thing though, right, guys? And like, if I bought the game...
Yes, exactly. Like the CIA releasing crack in poor communities.
Even if I'm giving them some money, I would be doing way more damage to them by playing it. I'm not going to play it because it just doesn't seem that interesting to me, but yeah. It would totally do more damage.
It's completely irrelevant. Corporate game journalism, as it currently exists and stands today, should again be viewed as an entirely fraudulent industry. It's not just Mixtape that is an astroturfed title. Rather, it's game journalism as a whole that is an astroturfed industry. And this shouldn't even be seen as a conspiracy theory. This should just be seen as a matter of fact by your average gamer. And then, of course, on the political side of things, we can just look to events like this as more further proof that the solution to our corrupt government and corrupt system is not more government. Anyways, that's all
You're referring to the Tuskegee experiments, Fab, which is something that we have yet to cover on TFH. It is one of my favorite subjects. Yeah, we'll just say one of my favorite subjects. I just don't know how to cover the Tuskegee experiments without saying stuff that pretty much everybody said before because it's so well known at this point. Before that, I meant you was awake to the NWO agenda, the Black Stole, which became the left's. Well, I historically you're just wrong though. Historically you're wrong. The term conspiracy theory didn't come about until 1973, I believe. Basically, when the JFK assassination tapes came out, which was about 10 years after his assassination, the media conglomerate invented the term conspiracy theory. The term conspiracy theory or conspiracy theorist did not exist prior to the release of the JFK assassination tapes. The term woke actually predates the term conspiracy theory. That's just historical fact.
I love how he wrapped all of that up into a 30 on 30 at the very end. God, I love Mantis Wave.
To say. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to support me, you can do so on Ko-Fi, Subscribestar, or by buying some merch. Which, by the way, for the sake of this video, I'm going to put the Gamers Rise Up merch on a limited time sale.
Nice.
The mug is
You are talking about the term when you say woke meant this and then means this, then you're talking about the term. For a brief time, us conspiracy theorists were saying we were woke with pride. Right, I get that. But your exact statement, Lessus, I will go back and fucking read it. This is why you're wrong. Woke originally meant, no, it didn't. It didn't originally, it may have meant that later, but what it originally meant, as in at the origin, was in the black communities in the 60s being awake to government systemic oppression. That's what it originally meant. So your version is not the original. You might have used it like that at one point, and hey, fair enough. That's true and fair and all that, but that's not what it originally meant. You could say I'm being pedantic or say I'm getting into semantics, but it's very important to break this shit down, especially when we're talking about history. We need to make sure that it's being talked about right. I like to make sure I've got my facts correct. Yes, 60s. Didn't catch that part. I literally said multiple times in the 60s. God damn it. Oh, it's fine.
Actually, it's pretty good quality. One of my personal favorites. But anyway, again, that is all. Thanks again for watching. Till next time.
Awesome. I'll link it to you guys.
I'm a god. How can you?
I will do the same thing. I will link Leaflit's video to you guys. And at the end of the day, yeah, that was didn't have a whole lot to comment on when it comes to Leaflit's commentary, because I won't lie, that was kind of one of her weaker videos in that regard. She didn't have a whole lot new, but I did like her discussion about us being way too fucking nice and accepting and the cultural colonization that's happened. And yeah, it brought in this awesome discussion about journalism. So all in all, when it comes to chat interaction, good job, Leaf. You really inspired the rest of my chat. That was fucking great. It's about time to wrap, but there's one more thing we gotta do. There's one more thing we gotta do. Because I actually remember this time. I actually remembered. We'll do the wheel spin. We'll do the wheel spin for tomorrow night's watch party. I have forgot for almost a week straight to do this fucking wheel spin. So we're doing it now. For those of you that know what we're doing, I know that movie's got to go on there. Enzo will kill me. So here's how this works. Thursday nights, usually around 9 o'clock p.m., give or take. I'll give updates in the Discord. But Thursday nights, we do watch parties if we hit tier 2. We hit tier 2 last week. In fact, we hit tier 3. Shout it out. You guys are awesome. Movies that go on the list have to be movies I've either never seen or it's been so long as I've seen them, it's going to be like watching it the first time over and over. And then we will do the watch party tomorrow night in the Discord. So feel free to recommend what movie you want on the list. I will let you know if I accept it or reject it. Zombie 1979. Need my Italian horror. All right, we'll do that. And we do 10 total, give or take. Sleep, Leon. The movie Sleep, I mean. All right, we'll put Sleep on there. Sword of a Stranger. All right. I know what Seb is going to say. She's going to say My Cousin. Yep, there it is. My Cousin Vinny. All right, we'll put My Cousin Vinny on there. I really kind of want this to win because I've never seen it, and you say it every fucking week. I've seen Grandma's Boy, unfortunately. Yeah, I can't throw that one on there because I've seen Grandma's Boy. Hard Ticket to Hawaii. Interesting. All right. Never even heard of this one, so that'd be good. The guy who played the rich father in Parasite, it was the last film he did. LGBT is present innocent people enough. I agree. Dreamscape. Have I seen Dreamscape? That sounds familiar. Hold on. I have not, but this looks awesome. Okay, Dreamscape it is. So My Cousin Vinny is good. Yeah, I've never seen My Cousin Vinny. Wish I could think of something. Come on, Fab. I know you can. I'll say mine until it's chosen. That's what everybody does. And that's A-okay. All right, how many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We need 3 more. Trazes is King of New York. Sorry, Fab. I've seen Legend. I've seen Legend a few times, actually. How King of New York doesn't suck. That's a really generic, boring fucking title. I'm going to be real. So I hope it doesn't suck if it lands on that. Chinatown. And we got one more. Mervot, I can't put another one of yours on here because I already put one on from you. But yeah, I have seen Legend. What's the rules on the choices? I explain them every week, and I explained it literally 5 minutes ago. I explained it 5 minutes ago. I've seen Wrong Turn. I like Wrong Turn. I like the third one the best. It's got oh, why am I blanking on his name? The guy that did the song Liar. Dark Crystal. I've never seen Dark Crystal. So all right, we'll do Dark Crystal. I know about it, but I've never seen it. And spin. Hard Ticket to Hawaii. I've never heard of this. I'm going to look it up real quick. All right, let's see. What is Hard Ticket 1987? All right, it's an 80s action horror film. 2 cargo operators preparing a ship to large snake to a zoo stumble upon a cache of diamonds. However, the jewels belong to a powerful drug lord that tries everything to retrieve them. I don't see how this is a horror movie, but it says action horror. Interesting. All right. Hard Ticket to Hawaii. Let me just throw that in the Discord real quick. We will be watching this tomorrow night. It'll be a good time. So close to clean state. Very 80s. Yeah, you could tell this movie's gonna be good when this is the box art. Like, yeah. This looks beautifully 80s. I can't wait. Alrighty, that's the plan for tomorrow, crew. Tomorrow in the Discord. Let me see who's live, and we'll get a raid going. 80 of you in here. Wow, 1,300 views on this stream. You guys are absolute fucking legends. All right. Nobody I know is live on Kick, so that answers that. Let's see who is live on YouTube, and I will get the raid going. Trying to 80s bait people now with cover art. Okay, but it literally said this movie is from 87. I don't know what you're disagreeing with. Like, when you Google the movie, it says it's from 87. Also, yeah, anyway. Yarnwich, Tommy, Nerdy Neo, Smooth the DJ. And we'll raid Tommy. I haven't raided Tommy in a long time. We're going to raid Tommy. Alrighty, tell everybody we're going to raid Tommy. Say Vital Idol raid. I will see you guys tomorrow. Videos and streams every day. Tomorrow we'll have the lunch hour at the same time. I will catch you on Mama Akko's show tonight. Until next time, it is, at Astray VT. All right, hold on. Let me see if I can find them. That way you can get a kick raid in. Astray VT. One sec. Perfect. Astray is live. We're going to rate him now over on Kick. Until next time, it's all here in the Nerdosphere. This has been Words of Paradise.